and shoulders type of look, because suddenly it opens stronger and now it's looking relatively weak compared to its brethren. So SK Hynix at 160, I think, will be the next trade for me. We're going to send you guys over to the midday boy. Sharif is now in the building alongside Joe, and according to him, we're going to possibly be eating some chicken because he looked at the lunch and was like, maybe it's chicken. I don't know. We'll see. I feel like,
he was incorrect, so it's probably some sort of...
Oh, it's not chicken.
What is it, Joe? What do you got over?
So we're not eating chicken.
Joe, what do you think? What is it, Joe? All right, over to them. See you guys.
You could just tell us. I love salmon. We get.
Derek gave it away, but bang! Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. That's your boy Joey Options. I'm Sharif, and yo, the small caps are already lit. We're already doing it. We're doing it live. Let's get right down to work, Joey, just before we say hello to everybody, because things are moving. Things are moving very fast, Assassino. And V triple frickin' E is halted to the upside. This one is all gas, no brakes. The Katina man told me immediately when I sat down, you're gonna like this one, V. And it is, I don't know, it's doing something to the high side. It's halted 2148 to the high side. It was about 1902. I think we had a prior halt level there. This is the 5-minute chart. BRAI as well, ripping to the high side. We took this one for a nice move. Initially red on it, got back green into this one. This is a nice breakout through 8. But these ones are moving, guys. There's a lot moving right now in small cap world. PSNL. We're going to keep an eye out on that. But before we do that, Joey, let's do this. Yes, I am wearing a red hat today. I don't know why, but I went to the doctor's this morning. Good day, Maud you. Lele, get it. AGEN, she says, options deep. We got Wampadilla, we got Byron, we got Brian, Kalua, shout out him, Airy Pages. We got Smiley and Hangry Wife. Yes, yes, we got terrible trades. That's not true. This is not a mega hat. This is a Blue Jays hat, right? Ichiro. We got Guckin and Shampoo, Drew Farrells and Zombie, and Bruce Chun. Shout out to Jarn Walking and Blicky Spears. Yes, Bash Bros right back at you. Shout out to my man Benton. Come on, you Gunners. Arsenal, first day, August 21st. And Joseph, I'm just going to throw this out there. The Colombia trip
it's approaching.
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
It may or may not be approaching. We might flip the switch.
And?
I might want to go to London to watch Arsenal play the opener.
Bro, are you kidding me?
Yeah, like I might flip the switch completely. I might do like a mini like.
Now listen, I understand your love for football. Like now I know
soccer tip at the moment. You know,
yeah, exactly. No, yeah, and that's exactly what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Get out of here! Didn't you already buy your tickets and everything?
So they're all refundable. All of us. My cousin made it because his work is wishy-washy. He may or may not be able to go.
You know what? Never. Oh, okay, but I would still be going. This is the only way. I know, but I would.
I'm debating
personally,
it.
No, for me, there's no debate.
There's no debate.
There's no. I would be straight off. Oh, to Colombia.
I would. Of course, sunshine. Yeah, but yo, Europe in the summer is not bad.
No, Europe is not. Whoa, Assassino, give me a second here.
Assassino doesn't want to hear about it, man.
Doesn't want to hear about that. All right, let's fire things up.
Yeah.
VinFast continues to expand beyond vehicle sales. This week, VinFast India partnered with Shriram Finance to support EV financing access, while Green SM launched all-electric ride-hailing in Kazakhstan with the VinFast VF6 vehicles. Together, these moves highlight VinFast's broader mobility ecosystem strategy. You can find them on the NASDAQ under ticker VFS. There it is.
What are you looking at today?
All right, yeah, let's go over our little spiel here, guys. Working on a couple of things bright and early this morning, but now I have my eyes on the overall market. FBL is going to be my leverage play as the NASDAQ and the SPY continue to chop around. So what we will have to do, guys, is try and find the lower end of the range. But what we did is we bought a little more NVDA over the past couple of days, as this name looks like it wants to break out on a higher time frame, but it also could be a big-time false breakout here, right? So a couple of strong sessions out of the past 5, 3 of them a lot stronger than what we're seeing to the downside, but one thing that is really starting to get rocking and rolling, and finally we're deeply ITM in the long-term portfolio on this bad boy, is META. Both of these names trading at ridiculous discounts, in my opinion. And according to the price-to-earnings ratios, they are 19 on Meta, 19 on NVDA. Hello, you got me as a buyer, and I'm going to continuously grab up some more. As I'm only sitting on, I told Katina, man, I had 10% cash today. It seems I have a little bit less as we've been getting filled on some orders, Katina, man. So we're sitting on about 5 to 7.5% cash. But what we do have on our eyes and on our mind bright and early is META, JPM, and NVDA. Those are going to be my primary suspects here this morning. And I know there was some small caps moving. Sharif already involved with them. Adam James abroad, best believe he's already involved in them. He's been participating bright and early.
He's in Canada, bro.
He's in Canada?
Yeah, he's in Van.
Yeah, that's where that's his home base, we'll call it. If we do want to call it that. If we do want to call it that. But yeah, there goes VEE open once again. A lot of halts on this bad boy. Let's see if we can get involved.
2406 limit up.
Let's see if we can get involved with some FBL. Go ahead.
Yeah, Joey, this is really going here, and I wanted to update Adam, but yeah, we're open already. So 2406 limit up. Here we're in the halt perimeter again. 2406 still limit up. So here it is. We're doing about 38 million shares so far. Let's see if we're false halting. This is the third false halt, the fourth false halt. 2539 limit up now. Have we been through 25? There it is. 2539 limit up. This one's really going. 426.75%. It looks like we're going to limit up here if we have a few more seconds at 39, 2, 1. Come on now, gray out, baby. Let's go. We need a little timer there beside it. Yeah, so this one's grayed out, guys. Keep your eye out on BRAI now, okay? I always jokingly say this, but when one halts, the DGen's going to trade something else, right? So their hands start shaking. So they go to the other one. So keep your eye out here now on BRAI. And I'd say that jokingly, of course, myself included in that DGen world. $9, guys. Keep your eye out on $9 because it looks like we're failing 10. Prior bar low is about 9.5 on BRAI, 954. Current bar low is 981. You're seeing the 10 EMA at 915. And you have 9 and VWAP very close together, 885 VWAP, 9. Obviously, whole dollar support. So BRAI in focus. Joey, there's a whole lot moving in small caps today, man. Once we have some of these triple-digit winners, you can smell like some more coming. Like that's kind of the. I
had the feel that those were going to get rocking and rolling this morning because I seen a couple of them bright and early that were hitting 100%. So yeah, VE, we'll keep an eye out on that one just in case. We do get some more momentum. There was another one that Jose being the Algo Joe, not Trader Joe here, Trader TV Joe, I should say, is a fantastic trader at that. Much better than I. But anyways, aside from that, let's head over to our watch list, guys, and see what we got going on. A nice pullback in FBL. Now, as for volume, ACTU, no reason for me to go over these. Sharif's going to be covering them a lot, but VEE, it actually halted. I believe there was a couple downside halts early this morning, shortly after the open. You get that move into the volume-weighted average price, but then off to the races it goes, back towards a beautiful volume-weighted average price bounce, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 halts since the bounce, since 10 a.m. So a lot of halting
happening now. Look, there were so many halts that malfunctioned.
Listen, our leaderboard, it was just malfunctioning. Matter of fact, you may as well hit the intro to our show once again.
Why not?
Yeah, I know. Here we go. They're on the stick. Bang, we love it, man. No, good times over there. Other than that, guys, let's wait for this pullback in Meta. I believe we're going to continue to move a little bit higher, maybe not from an intraday. We've seen that the pre-market and the post-market PA has been significantly better, but I want to grab something off the dip here, and we will take a look at the open interest momentarily. And while I send it over to Sharif, I'm actually going to look into when SKHY is going to fall into the derivatives world, which is going to be very interesting. I stated before the actual ADR release is that it is horrible for the South Korean retail guy. Now, that may be a little bit dramatic, but if I was over there in South Korea trading, Sharif, I would not be happy about this.
Yo, bro, I mean, what is it up this year, percentage.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
They've had their cake.
They've had their
already. How
okay.
much cake
So
are
they
gonna
want to
have?
they want to eat more of it. That's well, I
clearly.
told you. Like, and we went over this. 25% of their population is actually retail trading,
Yeah, I love that.
actively trading, which is a
feel-
massive amount.
I feel like we're hearing a lot of those demographics. We hear like the Indians love options.
Bro, they love that
right?
stuff,
And then
man.
these guys are very much into equity retail. I always feel like there's like little demographic observations you can make, whether they're accurate or not, whatever, who knows. Guys, loving these supers. Adam's printing on V. I can tell because their supers are coming in fast and furious. Shout out to my man, Adam James abroad, 2 supers back to back. If you remember, I said if it clears $17, it's gonna moon. Said this morning, check the weekly, it's gonna fly. Go back in at 1750. What? Shablamu? All right, man. What is
Shablamo, man.
Shablamo? What does that mean?
Yeah, it's like
Shablamo. Shablamo. Okay, let's look at what he's talking about because he's talking about the weekly here. So let's flip the weekly on VEEE. Oh my days. Yeah, well, needn't to be worried. This is typically what the chart of a small cap gapper looks like. So that's kind of the way that is. But we needn't worry because we're not in it for a long time, right? We're in for a good time. So where are we at right now? We are looking here, I think, to easily $50 to $60. I'm not saying that's going to happen today, but that's where the shelf is. You can see that clearly, right? There's a shelf here in and around 60. I would say more around 60 than 50. But there is, you know, some prints around 50. Now you are above the 10 and the 20 on the weekly, and you've got the 50 in and around 46, 47. So entirely possible, maybe an aftermarket move, right? The halt parameters get shut off. This one makes its move. Right? Who knows how the cookie crumbles, but it crumbles so many different ways. And we see that all the time. Thank you, Adam, again for the super. Continuing to watch BRAI and displeased with what I'm seeing. Let's look quickly to see what the tap is here on VEEE though, because I didn't even cover that. I should be covering that. 26.54. So halt price 25.39. Halt time 11:06:51. Meaning this one will be a 10-minute halt. 11:16. 11:16:51 is the resumption earliest resumption time, showing 26.65 right now. So. It looks like, you know, the buyers are still piling in. My suggestion to you is, and this is been on my observation with these halters, especially on the second halt onwards, start watching the tap in like 30 seconds before, 30 to 45 seconds before resumption. If it starts selling off aggressively, then, you know, usually that usually means something. So keep your eye on the tap. I would say about 30 to 45 seconds before resumption time. That means, you know, start watching it around 11:06 and change, or sorry, 11:16 and change, because that's the first time I think this one will be open, and we will do that as well. But for the moment, looking at BRAI here, continuing to put in lower lows, lower highs, and struggling to break Tenjo.
Good stuff. Yeah. Just replying to my guys here, Los Pollos. I actually seen our boy Jesse in the chat this morning. Good to see you there. I don't know if you're still involved here. I'll see if I can eye you. No, you're probably gone and hit the old work ski there. But yeah, Los Pollos, Gorv, it was fantastic. Maybe I'll show you guys a couple of pictures momentarily.
Yeah,
but let's focus on the overall market here. And I mean, listen, SK Hynix, I was seeing how the boys did on this. Sharif doing some work on that. I'm sure the boys did as well. But I mean, here it is, right? Like, so the initial, right out of the gate, this is what you want to see. Like, in that first 5 minutes, you catch $1.40, and it doesn't break that opening print. I think that's really important to note. So 169 all the way to a high of 176. That's pretty good. I'm not going to complain about that. Then absorb some more liquidity at the lows here, dips down into 166, and then breaks all the way back up to 177, but then chops around and ends up fading in the latter half of the session. What time did it open at? What time? Oh, 11:30, so not bad. All right, 11:35, or 11:30 it opened up, so not too much waiting there during the show with you and Obi there,
Yeah.
Sharif. So hopefully both of you guys got to take advantage of that.
Obi did. He took a couple of trades. He had a good second one.
Nice.
Really
That's
good. He
that's
held it for a while.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good. Let's send it over to you, man.
Yeah, man. Quick reminder, guys. Trader TV Live members get Sharif's my daily morning research note every trading day that I am here. The big market stories we're talking about, the key levels, the trade plans, as well as the catalyst, and what we're actually watching into the open. It's only $4.99 a month, and you also get members-only videos, posts, custom emojis, emojis, and loyalty badges. Hit the join below this video to become a member. Thank you very much for everybody who signed up. All right, let's take a quick look at V here. Top still in and around the same area, 26.70. It's zigging and zagging in the high 26s. Really, it hasn't changed all that much. We're looking at now about a minute and change resumption time. What exactly is the time here? Yeah, we're looking at about another minute, almost 2 minutes here, resumption time. But I'm still watching BRAI, guys. I mean, those are the two that I'm focusing on at the moment. BRAI is still struggling to break through $10, so I'll just have nothing to do with it at the moment. PSNL is another one that I've been watching. Shout out to Tasha Does My Hair NYC. Thank you for joining, nice. Tasha. Shout out to you. And we'll show you exactly where to get that in one moment. But I just wanted to cover PSNL, this one that I've been looking at here, 15.90. We're struggling through that, but it's essentially a range here, $15.50 to $16. It is a bull flag. Whether or not we break away from this one to the high side, we failed on all our attempts through 16 on PSNL. So that is one to watch. And then QTTB. I've been watching this one closely, recovering below VWAP into 20 bucks, struggling with 20 bucks, but putting in higher lows. So it does interest me for a possible breakout. We're about 40 seconds from the possible resumption time to VEEE. So as I advised, I'm going to start watching the top. Into 27 we go. Okay, so now this is as high as I've seen it so far, 26.80. Let's see if we get a big move up or a big move down closer to resumption time, Joey. That's what I'm going to be looking at here.
Good stuff. Yeah, let's head over to the overall market. Hangry Wife and I are just discussing some things that we've been talking about over the past couple of weeks. And if you're a credit-styled options trader, then there's some pretty good opportunities here. And I've been saying that when you're in these consolidations, and I mean they have been for quite some time now, when did it really start to pan out? It was about mid-June, so about a month ago. And we established a couple of credit-based trades. And full disclosure, I personally didn't take them. My concentration is elsewhere right now, and it's working out really well for me. So I'm doing some things. Obviously, I'll disclose it to you guys on a different time or whenever I'm done. It's not going to be done anytime soon, that's for sure. But anyways, aside from this, a nice sideways PA, and as long as we don't break down too aggressively, I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities to get involved with the NASDAQ, right? Like if it pulls back to 680, which I think is totally reasonable, this would be a little bit more hefty of a pullback if we go all the way down to 639. But on the bigger picture, from peak to that base, it's only 14%, which I believe you can get the overall market at a pretty good discount at that point. But another name that is down 30% off of its highs is MRVL. But where's it bouncing off of? Look at where it started this gap up. We put it down 35%, right? That's quite a bit. But this is still in a downtrend, and until this breaks, I don't know if this is going to be a good time to engage or wait until you have some opportunities to get on the backside of this trend. Right now, my concentration is in a handful of names. It starts with an N, ends with an A, all right? NVDA. I've just been building, and I'm going to continue to do so because at this PE, I think at some point the street's going to come to a realization that Michael Burry is cheesing Joe, and we want to blow this guy out of the water with this short. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
he's trying to short my cat.
He's trying, yeah. Well, I mean, Caterpillar. Hey, listen, man. I don't know how he works at it. He's talking about going short. I highly doubt he goes all in at once with the amount of size that he's got going on. So building into these positions, listen, I do believe that there is the potential of this being a false break and you head a little bit lower. I was talking about it just because of the shelf that's been formed on this name. But regardless, anything, like I'm grabbing it as long as, let me put it to you this way.
Go.
If it's below my average price, I'm continuously buying it. It's like, oh, well, Joe, that's not rocket science. No, I know it's not, and I don't have any intentions of it being rocket science. I just want to put my capital to where the best names are, and I think this is at the top of the list. It isn't the #1 market cap name for no reason. It might be #2 now, considering Apple hit all-time highs, but it's a neck-and-neck race between these two, and I think it's going to be for the next couple of years, and I'm totally fine with that. So your best players are supposed to be your best players. That's why they are your best players, and we just expect them to perform like that. Are they at all times? Not necessarily, but hey, at least I can say I'm putting myself and my hands in the right position.
I like it, brother. I like it. Way to stick to your convictions. You're not going to make money unless you have true convictions. So shout out to you, bro. Guys, I've been watching VEEE here. Look, we had an initial good trade through 27 onto 29, and then look at the flush to stop out through 25.5. So The market giveth and the market taketh away. So, yeah, that was a tough one. That was a big flush down, but I still like this one for a possible 20 hold. It might be somewhere around 20 3/4 to 20. I'm going to have to give it more of a range because there's a halt level around 19 and change, right? There's that 19 1/4 halt level. Then you got 20, which is obviously important. And you got 21 1/4, the top end of the 10 EMA. So this one's range here is quite wide, and that makes it tricky as to really where to put your conviction behind that level. So I'm going to continue to watch. I think that the right thing to do here is really watch the tape and look where the big buyers are stepping in. So that's what I'm doing right now. 22.5 seems to be a good double bottom on the 5-minute chart. Prior area low 29.20 and current bar low. Come on, hover over. You suck. All right, we got to load it up on here because it's not letting me use the mouse over feature. 5-minute. Current bar low is 22.80. Okay, not bad, not bad. All right, continuing to watch here. I don't like it quite yet. I don't think it's the right thing to go into now. There is a buyer in and around here, but yeah, I don't think it's quite the right time. Continuing to watch. Sorry, just keeping my eye on the 5-second chart here for VEEE. Looks like it's bottomed out in and around 23. The problem is it's making lower highs on the 5-second chart, right? You have an area high of around 25.40, and now you have a lower area high of 24.46, and now it is failing 23. So it's going to lose that level. Yeah, definitely not for me, and definitely not yet. So continuing to put in lower highs, lower lows. How's BRAI looking? It sucks as well. Continuing to put it in a downtrend, not for me at the moment. It hasn't based out. Obvious 9 support, but it's not making the right move higher. PSNL though. PSNL, I really should be working my way into this. It is a bull flag, and that gives me the opportunity to buy towards the lower end of the flag, take profits towards the higher end, and then hold a piece for the breakout should one happen. So PSNL, I think I'm going to set some orders here at around $0.0025 down into maybe 15.50. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm not going to take a breakout trade on this one, even though it is giving you breakout signals here through 16, especially through 16 into maybe 16 double digits, low double digits, 15, 14, something like that. That's what we'll do. We're going to go that, and then we're going to set up some dip trades on this monster as well. Let's go ahead and set some up. We're going to go 69er, and then we're going to go a little bit lower as well, maybe mid-50s. We'll set up at 57s right there for some more. Now, what did we get? We got 86s. It's already showing me 90s. It's showing me 92s now. Okay, so we're going to set up a little beak wetter here at 97 and a liquidity tester north of 16 to see if there's a big seller at around 16 bucks. So that's what we'll look for there. 91 still showing here up on the tape. Ozan, get it, Ozan. It says buy it. Yeah, I should have bought that beef jerky at Buc-ee's, which I didn't do, but that's okay. We can go back again, Joey, right? So everything's
Where's
good.
Buc-ee's?
Buc-ee's is that big ass Texas gas station that I gotta show you.
It's in Texas.
Bro.
Yeah, you should have popped by there.
Yeah, Buc-ee's was sick.
Yeah.
So we did it live on the weekend, eh? I know you had an outdoor weekend as well, but so did I. I went to my aunt's house, which is kind of like my cottage.
Oh, that's up. Yeah,
yeah, in Keswick. And then we did the beach yesterday, my boy and I, man. We went to Woodbine Beach, which was nice. That's where I screwed up my foot, which was nice. I'm trying to get some Bucky pictures. What are you looking at, Joey?
Yeah, let's see what we got going on. Yeah, Brady. Yeah, Brady, man, I typically say there's no such thing as dumb questions, but congratulations, you officially had one there. But I mean, anyways, listen, at the end of the day, we can take a look at the options chain and see what we got. Oh, no options available on this bad boy. Let's see what we got going on here. NVDA, boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
Why does this pop up like that? Okay, we don't want this. You
don't know that, eh? Venga Boys?
Yeah, what do you mean? Everybody knows. I think everybody might know that song.
My bad.
If there's a universal track, there's one.
There's one.
It's that one. So we'll take a look at what we got going on here with this week's expiration cycle on NVDA 210. Oh no, this isn't good, guys. This is not good for the near-term longs. Look at this July 17th. Look at the increase over the past couple of weeks. 210. 90,000 contracts, 215, 93,000, 220, 96,000. This is absolutely disastrous. Man, oh man, let's see what the next couple of days are telling us, because we could see some rejections of this 210, which we have. We popped up to almost 211, came back in with a little gap down in the pre-market, and then maybe we had a little bit lower. So if I'm talking about a false breakout, this could be it. And what we're seeing on the options chain may have confirmed that, which is absolutely disastrous and dangerous. But anyways, it's good. You can buy a little bit more. I talked about breaking this 192 level and heading a little bit lower. I think that's what's going to happen. So an additional liquidity grab. And I said I'm posted up on SpaceX at 125. We're at 138 right now. We're going to look at the options chain momentarily. But this 135 marker, there is a lot of size there, relatively speaking, and we might head into that 125 marker where I'm posted up at. And I'd be happy with that, because I just load the boat, add a little bit more to the position, add some at 135 if we hold up. But what I'm seeing from an overhead resistance standpoint, not good in the king of the chips. Now let's head over to SPCX and see what we got going on with the options chain here, ladies and gentlemen. Sent this to Sean and Neil at this level, 24,000 contracts. Look how large this is. These are now ITMs, right? Like, these are about $12 ITM. So those people are cooking up a storm, especially if you're on the right side of that trade.
Okay.
But this is where you want to keep an eye out on. And then where's that next zone of support?
Where's it at?
$100, man. I'm not saying we're going to get there anytime soon, but it can happen. 135, that'd be absolutely disastrous if you've been buying it. I mean, I grabbed a little bit myself, but if you went guns a-blazing in the 50s, then you're in a little bit of trouble. But I do believe 135 is going to be in the works. We're only about $2.50 from that level.
Absolutely. Good call, Joey. All right, we're long a bunch of stuff here. Let's go. There goes QTTB through the area freaking high. We have 43s on with this one. We're looking for the move through 22. The high of the day, 2190. We're knocking on the door at 86s. Let's go ahead. Oops. I got to fix that. Otherwise, I won't be able to take prints, Joey. There we go. We're showing seller here at 90, 97s. Here comes the break of 22. Big seller at 97. Can't shake that seller. So let's post up here north of 22 at 2207s. And then we're going to go farther north. We're going to go 22 and a third. And there it goes through 22 into 22 and a quarter. We're looking for the third. QTTB is on its frickin' horse and is about to take out triple digits on the day, knocking on the door of 100%, 96, 97. We're looking for a little bit more. Limit up is still far, far away, 2340, so we needn't worry about that. We're looking for a decisive move above 22 because you're not getting that at the moment. A lot of profit taking, a lot of short selling around 22 for whatever reason. 22.24 is the high of the day on this monster. So I like the rounded bottom, kind of flat top breakout that manifested here on the 5. Take a gander over here. A lot of accumulation for a 21 break. That's what caught my attention. Once this one cleared 21, and I was not worried as much about it encountering the same selling it had at around 715 because I made a bigger move in the pre, as you can see. Then I was kind of more confident with this breakout, so we jumped into it. We're still building a position, as you can see, on PSNL, but that one is still, you know, a little indecisive at the moment. Now we're focusing on QTTB. And Joey, even though we've been hovering above the $22 area, it doesn't feel like we've decisively taken out the level because there's a seller here in the single digits preventing us from ascending. Look at this 7 seller, very convicted seller. So this might flush into 22 or 2190s. We'll see. So continuing to watch that one. How's PSNL doing? Well, okay. You know, it's still going through that same higher low, lower high kind of compression pattern. That's fine. I can wait for that. As long as I don't get anything decisively through 15.5, I think that's okay here on PSNL. So we'll monitor that. No, we're not going to trade DRAM. And there we go. We fail. We fail through 22. So now we're showing 80s. This could be a bigger move here, guys, and it could be a bigger move into 21-ish on QTTB. Reason I say that is because that's the flat top breakout. So if that's a flat top breakout, then that's going to be resistance, right? That's former resistance, now support. So be on the lookout here. I'm just going to move my stop to break even. I know that's not the right thing to do in this case, but I'm just going to do it, right? So we'll throw that out there. And there it goes back through 22, but no continuation. So we'll pack the patience there. What's been your look?
Yeah,
I'm looking at
good
VEEE, Joe. I'm not liking what I see because I know people keep talking about it, but it's not setting up for me yet.
For sure, man. Yeah, listen, I haven't put anything on just yet. Maybe we get involved in a little bit of FBL, but we're going to be patient and wait for those high opportunities, those high probability opportunities. Like, I'll start really small, but that 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock hours is where I have been performing. I know USO's in play a little bit, but there's a couple of things. Once we get back to the desk, I'll go over one of them here quick. So someone's asking me, hey, Joe, how do I use my delta as a percentage, or sorry, how do I use my delta in a covered called scenario so I don't get called away? Well, what we can do, so guys, what you see here is your delta, and it makes sense, right? So you want to use this as a gauge. I'll go over this quick before I know we got to get into one in the European close. So look at this. We're trading, this is an at-the-money contract. Your delta's sitting on $50, okay? So for every $1 change in the underlying asset, you're going to see a $50 change in the contract. But we can also use this as a gauge in which percentage, a chance from a percentage standpoint that the contract is going to expire in the money or out the money, all right? The deeper in the money you are, the higher the delta, and the higher the probability that the contract is going to expire in the money. So we'll use this as an example. Think about it, $105 strike price here on SpaceX, 98 delta, so almost a 1-to-1 ratio from contract to actual underlying asset, but also look at it as, hey, there's a 98% chance. Why? Because we're trading at 105. We're trading at this is a 105 strike price. We're trading at 138. In 4 days, there's a 98% chance that this contract is going to expire out of the money. Now, as you go higher, you see that really start to decrease. So we'll use this 157.5. What the options market is telling us, in 4 days, there's a 90% chance that this is going to expire out of the money, or a 10% chance that it's going to expire in the money. You see how you can gauge it from current price action to what the actual delta is? And that's how I look at it, right? So when you start learning options, you can see, like, hey, at the money, 50% chance, where your delta's sitting at. In the money, 90% chance. Deeply in the money, 90% chance. And deeply out of the money, you can see that 10% chance. We're going to get into call and put walls momentarily, Hangry White, but hopefully that helped you and answer your question. So if you're looking to write covered calls and not get assigned, the higher you go out of the money, the more probability that that contract is going to expire OTM. Send it over to the desk.
Whoa, explain, bro.
I try, man. I try.
Explain, bro.
I try. We'll send it over to the desk with Juan and Adira.
The morning is almost over, but what is over for certain is the European session today. Here to take us through what happened in Euro last night is going to be Juan.
Thank you, Adira. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. So we've got the European markets opening the week off with a defensive note, some global, I would say a dual macro threat. We've got energy shocks, of course, of renewed tensions in the Middle East, as well as a tech-led global valuation reset, especially off that SK Hynix debut last week, Friday. So we take a look at some of the indices. Stocks Euro 600, pretty much flat, but to the downside. Powerful energy push barely balanced out the broad technology correction. DAX and Germany, they're doing quite well. Even though there's been a technical relief bounce, they crawled back into positive territory, especially of domestic value rotation as well as travel and transportation. So even in the UK, they're also capitalizing off the energy upstream, of course, all the commodities as well as oil, bringing everything up. But if you want to take a look at the main stories or the main theme for Europe overnight, global semi and AI sectors, they basically faced an intense valuation shakeout. You know, after SK Hynix debut last week Friday, it actually plummeted like about 15.3% in Seoul, Korea. So that triggered a sell the news dynamic among all the European. You saw Infineon down by nearly 2%. You know, traders were fearing a little bit of less capex or capital expenditure for data centers, especially ahead of key earnings this week in that region. And then on the other side, we've got, of course, oil. Oil surging more than 4%. Brent crude up like to $79 a barrel now. WTI $75. So this definitely rapid spike reignited Eurozone stagflation risk. We see also some of the travel commodities like all the airlines, they fell sharply, especially in the day. We got Lufthansa, Ryanair, TUI, all dropping between the ranges of 1.2 to 2.3%. You know, this is going to be the last week of World Cup. Imagine at the end of the week how much those airplane ticket prices are going to be. And finally, you know, with all the energy and natural resources segments, they caught a little bit of a defensive bid. London's FTSE, the UK, did pretty much okay. I mean, they were down, but not too much, nearly flat. We had BP, Shell, and Total Energies. They were all up by nearly 2% on each front. So we'll see how the week goes, but all in all, it's been quite a defensive bid for Euro.
And you mentioned earnings there. We're going to get ASML earnings, of course, in that European space. That's going to be coming through on Wednesday morning. So lots of overlap here between these European and U.S. markets. And if you want more insights from Juan about regional markets, you're in luck, because at 3:30 p.m. every day, in addition to this 11:30 a.m. segment, he's going to take us through the Asian close, or Asian market.
I'll go over a couple of things if you.
Yeah,
if you
no,
could.
nothing.
Very, very valid point, Don. And it's very important to remind everyone that your Greek metrics, when I'm just going on with our spiel about delta, is always changing. It's always fluctuating with the underlying asset. So something that may be a 50 delta 1 minute, 20 minutes from now, it can be deeply in the money and change to 70 or 65 or something. Even your theta and your gamma is always going to be fluctuating. Gamma's at its greatest at the money. Now, Hangry Wife. Now, we're going to go over a quick thing here on open interest. And I know Ozan and we got Travman for real and everyone else who's been trading options. What we look at here is our open interest. Why am I looking at these levels? Well, and we'll get into gamma exposure momentarily, but there's multiple ways that we can register the same information, but take it in a different perspective, all right? So Ozan and I are looking at the exact same strike prices, but we may interpret it a little bit different. But essentially, it's the same objective. So what I'm getting at here with open interest is that when we go through our strike prices and we try to identify call and put walls, well, what we're looking at is, the way that I interpret it is supply zones. Now, what do I mean by this is that when you have options contracts, you're not creating liquidity. It's actually liquidity that's already on the open market. So that's where you need to really understand your obligations and your rights. Those are two different things, all right? If you're on the short side of things, you're obligated. And if you are on the long side of things, whether it be a put or a call, you have rights, okay? So what we have here at this $105, we'll go over this example, sorry, at this 135 level, is we have a bunch of supply. Now, why am I referring to this? Because it may have that magnet effect because you're sitting on a bunch of negative gamma. But what also might be there is you have people on the opposite end of the trade. So this is a supply zone. We'll make it simple. I'll put it into layman terms. This is a supply zone. And we know with supply, in order to breach and head into the exact same direction, you're going to need more demand. Now, if the demand isn't there, you could see potentially a rejection. So at 135, there's a supply zone of 24,000 contracts. This is already outstanding information. This is already outstanding shares. There's no new liquidity. Now, if we don't absorb this is where you can find a support level, okay? Now, if you go to the opposite end of things and find the resistance zone, we would be looking at a supply zone in the call sector or in the call section, and that's when we fall into NVDA. Now, when we get into gamma, something that Ozan is looking at, when you have an outstanding amount of open interest, they have exposure to market movement, okay, market volatility. Now, Ozan would be like, hey, at 210, we have all this gamma exposure. Why? Because that's where we're seeing the most amount of contracts who have exposure to your rate of change. And if you blow past it, the people on the opposite side of the contracts need to cover themselves so they don't get destroyed. And then that's when you can fall into gamma squeezes. Why? Because you have everybody rapidly buying back shares rapidly so that they don't lose too much money. Now, we can look at a call zone, a call wall, or a outstanding amount of open interest on the call side of things as resistance until that supply is absorbed. Now, open interest and an outstanding amount, the most amount on that expiration cycle, we can look at support level until that supply is absorbed. So that's what I'm looking for. If you're going to bounce off of those specific zones, gamma exposure and OI is really, really important.
All right, man. That was fantastic, though, bro. I mean, you really went through it there. Joey, Professor Joseph options. Here, guys, I'm watching QTTB through 22. We're looking for sort of a flat top break. It was above 22, and it popped locally into 22.18s. And it was very strong. Now it's showing a little weakness. Through 22, out 21.5, added from this one into that 22 area. So can't give it that much room. Also, not just because I can't give it room, but it wouldn't make sense to give it below prior area low. We're looking for continuation here. So through into 22 again, no continuation on this sale. Yeah, so we're still struggling with that same flat top. And the funny part about this was we were through 22 by a good margin, almost at day's high, which is 24. We were at 18s. And there was a big seller at 18s, but there had also been a big seller at 8s. So something to note there, possibly 10 penny increments. I'm going to look out for that again, but I only saw it once. We'll see what we get on this one. So looking for a hold above 21.5. Let's go ahead and set up the stop there in case this one does flush. Now, I am still holding here on PSNL, and I'm looking for my dip trade into the $0.50. Alas, it's not giving it to me. It is finding a lot of resistance here, and I just got stopped out of QTTB on the dip below 21.5. So we will give back a little bit on that one, which is all right. We did it good on the top, but we'll give back a little bit off this one. So it sucks. Yeah, I was looking for that 21.5 hold, but I couldn't be too strict, so I gave it to the low 40s. It looks like it is finding some support here in the low 40s. But if it does break out above 22.25, I can definitely get back into this one. How's my other trade doing here on PSNL? Not great. Not great on this one. Still, we're holding about 10 pennies out of the money. Mike P, freaking D-Rider, 11-2, my favorite part of the day. He was going buck wild in the chat when you were dropping your knowledge there on options. Guys, sober, just, yeah, I could have done that one, but I won't do it. There we go. This one is ripping, guys. What the hell is this doing? Up 106%. It just popped off from 65 pennies into 90 in one fell swoop. SOBR ripping to the high side. Possibly $1 soon on this one. Yeah, Ozan, you're hilarious. Yes, guys, SOBR into 91. I'm not sure if it has a new headline, but I was already on my watch list today. So nothing really from Sober anytime recently. So this is just regular price action, just ripping up like that. But it was the breakout really seemed to come in 11:38. So it's 4 minutes deep right now. Are we halted? Halt to the upside on Sober 91. We are halted on this one. What a big move up here. This one's a penny stock. Let's load it up on a trading screen so we can get a gander of how we're going to be looking at this one. We'll change DRAM into SOBR, not the MX, Joey. Ooh. The MX. There we go. So tap showing 91. So we'll be able to see what the imbalances are, the tap during the halt. So we're halted at 91, still showing 91. Resumption time, earliest 11:47:19, halt time 11:42:19. So we'll definitely keep you guys apprised of that one. Joe, what do you got?
Good stuff, man. Yeah, Mike P. DeRider, I appreciate that. I know you went over that, Shreve. I was actually thinking about, I think about all you guys over the weekend. So yeah, man, these guys are my friends. Yeah, Mike P. DeRider. You know why, though? Is because we're on the water. And if you're talking about water people, Mike P. DeRider is most definitely going to be involved with that. Now, let's see what everybody in the chat. Let's say you buy NVDA call at 180, super deep in the money. As long as your contracts are still traded, you can still make money. See, now, this is where it gets a little bit more complicated, and you need to truly understand the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic value. It's like, so people think, oh, hey, yeah, I can buy this deep in the money call and make money. No, that's not necessarily the case, right? You have to understand what your intrinsic and extrinsic value are. Intrinsic value, obviously, or not obviously, I shouldn't say that, is stating in which the amount of in the money it can be. There's no negative intrinsic value, so it's either, say we're trading at 150, we're trading at $200 right now on NVDA. You have the 190 call. You have $10 of intrinsic value, but you also have to take into consideration your extrinsic value, which your time value. Okay, so just because you buy something in the money doesn't mean you're going to actually make money. Now they need a tutorial on parity. Yeah, exactly. Hey man, listen. we got some things. You can always go back into our archive and go over the options basics, that a lesson that Sharif and I used to do. So a lot going on there. But anyways, what I wanted to focus on, guys, is an actual trade. We'll talk about some of the trades and the positions that we're currently in. So we had a nice little move from FBL right back towards the volume weighted average price. I didn't take anything off north of VWAP, which would have been nice at 28.51. Instead, we're breaking trend right now. So I removed 20% of my position, and we're going to allow the rest of it to ride with the potential to add a little bit more if this market wants to turn around. With that being said, we have to see what USO is doing. We have market down. Is USO up? We had that strong volatility spike here bright and early this morning, and I get it. People are, it's like, man, this guy always has to say something or something going on. Yeah, that's the nature of the beast until we get a complete closure of what's going on in the Middle East. Now, 4.2% to the top side, volatility spike right here. But what we're starting to see is that that inverse correlation between the NASDAQ and USO and oil that is start to arise once again. Man, we're really getting a hefty pullback in Meta. I'm going to have to exit this whole thing as 28.27, getting a little bit aggressive for my liking, starting to form somewhat of a bull flag here on USO. We'll keep an eye out on this one. USO up. Man, I'll tell you this for free, guys.
What?
I do not like trading the overall market, the NASDAQ and the SPY when USO is in play. It just causes a complete mess, in my opinion, completely subjective. You have to find your own way. But here it is, a hefty pullback. I'm glad we took at least something off, because if it goes to my break even at that point, I believe we're going to be heading a little bit south here on FBL. We had a massive gap up on Friday, which I didn't even notice until this morning. And I was like, boo, yeah, this is what I'm talking about, man. Just out on the water. I'll show you guys some stuff. I uploaded it here momentarily, and we'll take a look at that. But just stepping away from the market at times is good. You get on the water, you do whatever toots your horn, and you have some fun with that. But FBL is starting to come back in.
Yeah, guys. Okay, there's a lot going on here, Joey. EHGO is really ripping up here. 279. It's up 70%. It's really going. This one did move in the pre-market, so be alive to the pre-market highs. You have to be alive to those levels. It was really early on, but it was on a very big volume, bigger than the volume we're putting in now. I'm talking about, 875,000, 633, 1.4, 1 million shares per 5-minute candle. Just by way of comparison, we're doing 250, 245,000 now. So the volume there bigger than here. Now, the levels are in the pre-market are essentially a lot of closing prints not clearing 290. The wicks go through 3 into 312. So there is going to be 3 area resistance likely here on EHGO. But the good news is there's about 20 pennies from here to that 3 resistance. So how you get in and how we move up essentially is really going to be important here. All right, looking for a little bit more on this one. Looking for a big move up. Don't have any qualms adding to this one. Should it, give me a reason to add, especially if it keeps seeing the same player come in and around the same buying level. I also have to make you guys alive to the fact Sober is open through 1 into 106, dropping below 1 now, but holding current bar low. SOBR open. There's a lot moving, guys. Here we go. We're involved in this one, and let's set up, I should say, our dip trade levels to defend into current bar low on EHGO. So current bar lows takes us to about 57.5. So we got to be pretty strategic about where we want to add here. Let's go ahead and throw one there for a buy, as well as into the 50s as well. We'll see if we can get something in and around there. So that will be my move with a stop through 50. Sober about to take out current bar high into 107. Sober did drop below the dollar, but it's close to the day high. 107 seller. There it goes into 109, 113. Sober's ramping into 153, 112, 116 limit up here on SOBR. So 116 limit up. Look for that dip possibly into, the single digits for a move into limit at 16. You're getting a 12 seller though. I don't mind getting involved in this one as well. Oh, baby. EHGO coming back down pretty aggressively. Does it hold current candle low? That's the move here. Looking for that dip. What do we got? We got 73s on this one. This one, managing these. Well, good thing I'm not in Sober at the moment, so I'm just going to have to focus on EHGO because that's the one we're involved in, Joey.
Good stuff, man. All right, so yeah, this pullback getting pretty deep here, guys. I mean, trail it out. I could just get out and at this point, I believe we'll get a better entry. We have NVIDIA heading towards this 206 and a key support level. Well, guess what? If it breaks 206, I'm a buyer. I mean, I'm just grabbing, in full disclosure, right? I hold no shame. It's like a couple of shares here, a couple of shares there, a couple of shares here or there. And I don't know if I'll ever be done buying it until we get to $400. Now, are we talking a couple of years down the road? Hopefully, that'll be nice because by that time, we'll just have built an absolute beast of a position. They'll be calling me, Michael Burry be calling me, be like, hey, man, what's going on over here? You got a hefty long position on this name. I'd be like, best believe I do. No, anyways, I'm obviously being sarcastic. We want to see a little bit of a bounce here in FBL via, this is the 2x leverage on META. We'll head over to our watch list and see what we got going on. A nice little bounce would be nice here for us. All right, cool. Sounds good. We'll head over to see it momentarily. Then I'll show you guys a couple of things. NVDA 207.18. That's starting to sell. Google at 355. Look at this on the daily. We had a high of around 375. I do believe there's going to be a little bit more downside here. This is just a bull trap in my opinion. And if you want to see the king of bull traps, I'll show you one right now.
Which one, Joe?
It's going to be on SPCX. This is a big-time bull trap right here on this rebound. People buying all up in this neck of the woods, and it was shablamo to the downside. 7% on today's session. See ya.
Yeah, just keep an eye out on ticker HAS, Hasbro, that owns Monopoly. So Netflix is officially partnering with Hasbro on Monopoly. So now Netflix and Hasbro Entertainment, alongside Studio Lambert, that is the one that produced the very popular Squid Games, are turning Monopoly, the board game, into a high-stakes, unscripted reality TV series. It's a bit of an uptick on HAS, and let's check how Netflix is doing right now. The last I checked, it was a bit of a downtick. Yeah, still continuing to slide to the downside. Keep an eye out. Netflix and HAS. Netflix, a bit of a downtick, and HAS, a bit of the upside.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
Monopoly Deal. If anybody here in the chat's played Monopoly Deal, you know how serious that gets. But an actual live Monopoly game, I think that's pretty cool, man. It'll be very highly competitive. Maybe some new ideas for game shows. I think I'm making a mistake here on the long side of things. Let's see if this support level holds up at 206 on NVDA. I don't know if it's going to. There was a 5-minute print. And listen, this trade's either going to work relatively quick or it's not, right? Like we're either out at the break of the low of the day as the momentum is most definitely. And with that being said, we'll hop out, break even here on our FBL trade. We'll hold on to this NVDL trade for as long as we can, and if we don't get any big time bounce, and what I'm looking for here is a lower high to be established. So a small scalp on FBL, we didn't get to take full advantage of it. Looking for a little bit more continuation, but VWAP seller step in. Now we're in on this bad boy. Let's see how this plays out. And again, I'm just playing with small size right now until that 230 marker where I can really just lock in focus and see what we got going on with the latter half of the session. And you know what, quite frankly, I haven't even pulled up SKHY. Like, this is a new name, right? So I think it's totally understandable for myself to forget about it, but SKHY down 9%. And I think Obi and I definitely on the same page here. When it comes to the Kospi, watch out because 300% in an overall index is absolutely insane in a year and a half. There's going to be a lot of downside, in my opinion, a lot of room. Not saying it's going to happen right now. Be patient and look for that derivatives route. If there is anything from a derivatives route, guys, and what I'm talking about options is because I have a fixed profile, a fixed risk profile, then let me know, please, because I will be buying some put contracts. But SK Hynix down off of this 176 marker straight to the tune of 14%. I know the Kospi almost hit limit down, I believe, yesterday.
Yeah, man, 9%. I think, is it limit 9 and change? That's what I heard anyway. I'm not apprised of all the news as I got in late. But anyway, SOBR, we're doing okay on this one. New area high into 119, but it feels like a fake trade with tough continuation here. What we have on Sober, we're at 110, so we're break even now. Couple of prints, defends the dollar well, but they're topping till candles galore, both on this current candle and prior bar. So a lot of short selling here, and if I, had to guess, even though we're putting in higher lows, higher highs, there is a good amount of equilibrium here between buyers and sellers. This position is in trouble. EHGO, we're defending into the flat top break of 240, but this is as good as it's going to get. The chart pattern, for me anyway, I'm not going to add here or give it any more room. The chart pattern is not promising. Sadly, this looks like a failed break, but It hasn't stopped me out, so I'll have to continue into the trade. At the moment, we'll see if it can get back above 50 and then possibly get into the 60s. It's being met with aggressive selling every time it does come into the 50, so I am kind of concerned about this trade. QTTB, we're back into this one. Good entry here on QTTB at the $0.50. We're showing 3/4, looking for the move back through 22. Don't forget, last time around here, there was a pretty aggressive seller at 22. We had a lot of trouble clearing that level decisively. So 2 things to be looking out for. Obviously the seller at 22, but look to see if they're setting up south of 22 at a specific level. That's often what happens, all right? You know, you're looking at an 80 area or something like that, all right? In case, you know, it gets too close to the area. SOBR back into 13, looking for a day high break here of 119. This one comes in spurts, and you can see that by its topping till nature. So how do you get it around that? Use resting orders, right? Because if you're not looking at the screen or you're not quick with it like I'm not, and you're managing multiple trades, let the computer do the trade for you, right? Throw in the resting orders out there at key levels to take advantage of that quick price action. So we're in 4 trades at the moment, not typically what I do lately. Anyway, PSNL, this one is holding on by a thread. We're gonna stop out here if we break through the 1105 bar low, which is 1147. So a couple of okay trades, a couple of not okay trades at the moment, Joe.
I hear you, man. So yeah, there it goes. A nice little bounce off of the support level. Double hammer being formed at this 106.71 support system. This is what we want to see. Why? Because look at my risk to reward on this. Like if it breaks and holds on the 1 minute south of this 31.66, that's 20 cents of risk that I have to give it. So can I please check BBAI? Yeah, we can take a look at what Big Bear AI is up to here today. Boom, boom. And then we'll also see what some of the banks are up. I know JP Morgan and the big boys are reporting tomorrow, so that's going to be a whole lot of fun. I will take a look at some of the options activity. We'll go through the expected moves here, even though they're usually nothing crazy, but it doesn't matter. We want to see what we got going on. BBAI not looking too good there, guys. We're at $3.14. Moving forward, we'll take a look at JPM. Come on, bounce, baby, bounce. NVDA. Here it is, JP Morgan off of those highs to the tune of exactly 2.8%. A red day here today. Where's the strength? Because the SPY was a little bit stronger than the NASDAQ, and it's probably going to fall into XLV and some of the healthcare names. But we are heading towards the low of the day, and it's being led by the big boys as it typically is. Strong days, led by the big boys. Weekdays, led by the big boys. Now, Morgan Stanley to the downside there, Sharif. Goldman Sachs as well, too, going to be a little bit off of those highs. Sean liking the banks in the near-term future. Same. Going to be continuously buying a little bit of JPM. No shame over here. But, hey, we were talking about the bottom in Walmart. There's a couple of stars aligning, and I'm glad that it actually worked out as we are off of that 107 low, now up around 114, and a couple of strong sessions back-to-back. Low volume, though, but what told us and what kind of gave us that indication that we were at a potential low was the volume in the price action print correlation. All right, VPA 101. Now, as for anything else, guys, what else? Oh, yeah, CrowdStrike and the cybersecurity names. Those guys were on big-time runs, so I wouldn't be surprised if they cooled down, but no stopping them right now, Sharif, as we do find a little bit of a rebound. 187 there on CrowdStrike, and PanDub also putting up numbers. Great yearly return so far in both of these big boys in these cybersecurity juggernauts. And you know what I was thinking of? Shower thought.
Okay.
You ready for this? You don't have those shower thoughts?
Of course. Who doesn't?
Why are not some of these, like, I'm thinking in the near future, some of these cybersecurity names like CrowdStrike and PanW can be in the top 10 of most valuable, like, why aren't CrowdStrike and PanW trillion-dollar companies? Because nothing, all of these tech names essentially are not safe without any of these.
Yeah. Do you think there's a threat that they bring home the cybersecurity in-house?
Eventually.
What I mean. Yeah, and that's remember the big sell-off when PanDub hit 160?
Yeah, when all with the Mythos scare and all of that stuff. But also, just think about it. It's hard to just play catch-up just like that. You can come with an in-house software, but is it going to be as good, and has it gone through as many scenarios as some of these pioneers of the cybersecurity other security
Well,
space
yeah,
events?
those are great questions, brother. I mean, yeah, it would be interesting to see. I'm not going to complain, man, if they hit that kind of market cap.
neither.
But guys, involved in sober here, looking for defending of the dollar. Generally, you are getting a good defend, but we're not out of the clear quite yet. We're not out of the woods yet. We're not in the clear quite yet. So, going to continue to watch this one. Added into QTTB on the higher low, looking for a move into 22, but it is also putting in lower highs, so a little bit of a concern there. And then PSNL continues to zig and zag right around 60, so we're still a little bit out of the money on this one. None of the chart patterns are bad, but none of them are awfully bullish. That making me feel like, we're about to break out here. So, and by the way, I did get stopped out of EHGO, so we had to let that one go. Even though, it's at a critical level, this 240 level, which is VWAP. If it wants to turn back in and curl back up and try to take out 3, I can get involved in the breakout, but I don't want a DCA to no end. So that's what we're talking about here. But let's shout out my man there dropping 10 in the chat. Let's make some money makers. Thank you very, very much for the $10 super chat there. What have you been trading? Let us know in the chat and we'll shout it out. But for now, we're going to pause Joey and I. We're going to send it up to C at the big desk for happening now. And Neil is going to drop his lesson of the day.
Good afternoon. Let's take a look at the 3 major averages. The SPY currently down 0.5% at the moment. We have the triple Qs down 1.4%, followed by the Dow sliding 0.26%, and the IWM down very close to 0.70%. So safe to say, all major averages in the red today, not looking great at the moment. But let's take a look at 2 things I want to talk to you about. So first of all, Citi has hiked its price target on Apple to $365 per share from $315 per share, saying that Apple should continue to gain market share despite the slowing market. Now, this new target implies a 16% upside from Friday's close, and Apple is set to report earnings on the 30th of July. Shares have gained 18% year to date. Let's also take a look at how banks are doing. Joey was talking about banks reporting, so let's take a look at that as well. So they have slipped today. Some continue to hold certain bullish momentum. We have investors readying themselves for a raft of earnings reports from some strong names. So the State Street, Spider, and S&P Bank ETF, that's the KBE, has shed around 0.5% as of midday. Trading is down more than 1% over the last 5 trading days, but still higher over 12% this year. We have names like JPM, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, and Citigroup reporting on Tuesday. That is tomorrow. Morgan Stanley will be posting its quarterly results on Wednesday. JPM, let's take a look how it's doing right now. Flat, not that bit of a difference. But let's stop before we go back to the guys. Neil, what lesson do you have for us today?
Thank you, Sia. The lesson of the day is, oh my goodness, just go along AGEN. AGEN. And sometimes when I joke around about that, I'm like, I'm actually not going to talk about it and it'll be something else. But you know what? Forget about, shorts have been fantastic. I could do something about sticking to your convictions even when the market pulls back up, and then where to reload and all that stuff, because that's what the play was today for a lot of the other shorts. But man, there's a line that I like when we talk about indicators, or look, we have our favorite indicators. Everyone's got them. You're going to see my chart has literally VWAP and volume on it. And one of the things I'll say is it's good to have an idea or a plan of action or an indicator that you like to use, but what determines whether you should trade off it is how is it respecting that indicator. Now, I can't remember the last time that I saw something set up like this where, look at VWAP. Once it gains VWAP at about 7 o'clock, it just holds. You have a gapper on volume, doing good pre-market volume, good VAR vol, and it's just holding the volume weighted average price. However, it's what happens at the open, which is the confluence. Because I don't know how many times I've ever seen this. Like, you're holding the volume weighted average price. It's very, very clean. So if you're a small cap trader, you're probably liking this one. Then it finds this support here on the dip, about 470, 475. This is 930. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what happens at 930. See this candle at 930? Remember, it's holding VWAP. It basically tries to false break both ends, but The break of the high, that might matter a little bit, but it doesn't really do anything but break this consolidative low and hold VWAP. It then closes above VWAP on volume. That's a pretty bullish sign. The fact that it tried a false break of the high and immediately also wicked the low as well while maintaining the overall structure of the trade. So that's just some shaking out of some weak hands right away. And then even better than that, so 2 points of confluence here. 1, hold the volume weighted average price. 2, try to shake people out and then hold. Then look at this candle. Now, you don't have to be a chartered market technician to see what this candle does here at 939. This is another consolidative bottom and a bottoming tail wick. So this time, no run of the high, just a bottoming tail wick right into what? Oh yeah, it holds on to VWAP and snaps right back. And then you get a breakout. Now, I've seen a lot of charts over the years. In recent memory, I can't remember something that looked that technically clean as a setup trade, giving you multiple flashes as hold the volume weighted average price, attempted shakeout here. And this is a 3-minute chart, so maybe it does the same thing on the 5. I don't care. The 3 is what I'm looking at. Attempted shakeout at the open, and then it gives a bottoming tail candle with multiple entry styles here. You could simply be, okay, well, once this candle happens, I'm like, that's good enough. I've seen this candle. I'm just going long on the next one. That's even fair. Like, you could just be long somewhere in here, or you're just taking this candle does this, you're taking the breakout on the next one higher. It's got everything you would be looking for. And then if you're asking yourself, well, okay, well, this is my setup on the 3-minute, when do I get out? It doesn't even have a red candle until effectively the high. Sometimes there will be low-hanging fruit out there. And if you're a small cap trader, there were other names that were good, but my goodness, like this, to me, it almost had to be the one for sure. And it just comes down to when you're doing your watch list. We literally did a lesson on this. We had our video over the weekend. We did this last week. Narrow down what it is you're looking for. It's not enough that it's a gapper. It's not. You want to also have some RVOL. We also talked about it being at or respecting key price levels or indicators. So whether that's a fact that it's holding VWAP, demonstrating that it's holding VWAP, or at a key price, that can be the added juice to your trade. And if you did that in this particular case, then you probably caught the best move in small cap land because it was super clean. So fresh and so clean. So shout out to anyone that was on the AGN. Look, it's a profitable day shorting a whole bunch of stuff. If you're trading off of, if you were trading momentum, it was great. Like this, I'm not going to say it wasn't a good day. But one trade on AGEN with that kind of a setup is absolute gold for any trader. I don't care what your ilk is. So sometimes you keep it really simple. We did a lesson on what you should look for gappers and curating what you're doing when you narrow down that watch list. And this is the power of doing that, because it would have given you AGN, at least to be looking at it. Whether or not you actually get this breakout trade, that's up to anybody to hit the keys. But congrats if you got this one. Fantastic technical setup, and it just goes to show you can have ideas that work on multiple styles. Right, like that's a setup I'd look for on a big capper that I'm trading, but it shows up right here on a small capper as well. So I'm going to go have my salmon for lunch. Oh, it's too shiny, you can't even see it. Salmon for lunch. We'll see you guys back at 2. Good luck. The market is giving it up. The shorts are working again.
We're starting to see comments coming through here from different shipping agencies after President Trump made that comment about the U.S. charging a 20% fee here for cargo through the Strait of Hormuz. UN shipping agencies saying that they're awaiting further details before they make a fuller comment, but they did say that they oppose fees that are used in international navigations, including for Strait of Hormuz. So again, some commentary coming through here. Expect probably more commentary from different organizations as we continue to see reactions to President Trump's announcement that the U.S. is considering charging a 20% toll, I guess, for things that are coming through the Strait of Hormuz. We'll send it back to the guys.
All right, guys. Just gotta do this 1 sec. All right, ready, go. Tiffany. VinFast continues to expand beyond vehicle sales. This week, VinFast India partnered with Shriram Finance to support EV financing access, while Green SM, they launched all-electric ride-hailing in Kazakhstan with VinFast VF6 vehicles. Together, these moves highlight VinFast's broader mobility ecosystem strategy. You can find them trading on the NASDAQ under ticker VFS. Shout out to the great folks at VinFast. Joey, look, we're involved here. We are involved in Sober.
There you go.
Yeah, you get so many different things you can say about this one, but here we go. We got some good size into the area high, looking for the clearing of 19, not immediately seeing it. I've got 5s on. There has been a lot of selling every time this one gets into an area high. It doesn't feel like a good squeeze candidate, sadly, to say. So we defended the dollar pretty aggressively, looking for a bigger move into the quarter dollar. You know, getting into 19, essentially, to me, that counts as a fifth of a dollar. Pardon me, fifth of a dollar touch. But I don't know. Let's see. It's really thickly traded at every single level, and we haven't seen kind of it open up, sadly, above the dollar in a way that we see some others, right? It feels like there's a lot of short selling here. Now, I looked on my platform. It's not easy to short. I didn't check with the boys to see what kind of locates we have here and how much they cost. Gives me typically an idea about the demand for shorts on this one. So we'll fly in blind here. But here we go again into 17. Seller as there was last time at 17. 18 print showing up. Can we get 19? Joey, we got 19, but we didn't get 20s. Looking for a little bit more. We've got some resting orders north of 20. There it goes into 20. That is a new high a day. Let's see if we can get up into the quarter dollar now. We're up 172%, but no continuation through 20 as of yet. So let's pack the patience on this monster, see what we get. We won't get upset. Shout out to my man Neil. There it goes. Joseph options through 22. That's another area high. Let's take some out there and wet Zebik. OG Darth Trader. You see V today? I do, brother. I'm looking right at it. There's no way, we can be a self-respecting small cap trader and not having eyes here on V, right? So we're going to continue to watch that and see what's up. Oh, sorry. With VEEE. We're doing bigly here, though, on SOBR. So let's take out a good amount of shares here where I think, we're going to find a little bit of resistance. So let's go ahead and wet the beak there, Joey. Good amount of shares, so that will put us nicely on this one. There it goes again, Joseph options through 23. That's another area high. SOBR is up. Now look, there's another. This one is a KC 526 special, ELPW. I need to concern you guys, though, with the pre-market action. Technically, we have taken it out during regular trading hours at around 12 o'clock into 44.5 pennies. However, there was a lot of pre-market selling around 42.5, 43 pennies. And I want to say it looks similar, not the same, similar to EHGO. So I already am very negative on EHGO. It's one of my losers on the day. So I don't want to trade a chart pattern like that. So I'm going to focus on Sober, new area highs, blue sky setup, and here comes 25. Joey.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, man. I was just pulling something
good,
up
brother.
here. Do you mean 340, Ozan? Because 240 is like a world away. Oh, but you're going further out in expiration. Let's pull up what Ozan has to say once again. But I'm curious if you, no jokes, my startup killed Sober. Nice, man. Good to hear about that. You are right, Alan Sebastian, about... Yeah, exactly. I remember what I tagged you in. We're going to head over there momentarily, but I want to see what Ozan has to say. 240, bro. Sorry, bro. Anyways, let's pull up. What expiration cycle was that? Once again, 240 calls. That is going to be, okay. That's at the end of the year, my guy. Let's see what we got going on here in December of this year on the $240 strike price on TSLA. He's saying that's where we're seeing the most amount of concentration right now. I'm not seeing anything at this very second, Ozan, from a volume standpoint. Tesla 240, December 18th. Man, only 158 days away. Wow. I'm not seeing anything. Maybe you're seeing something that I'm not. Please retag me in the chat, and we will see what you got going on momentarily. Let's send things off to the desk.
Keep an eye on Warner Brothers here. We're seeing reports of this as early as this morning. I mean, technically last week, and then also, again, seeing this kind of announced, I think, more formally about half an hour or so ago. But now CNBC reporting once again here that Paramount and Warner Brothers are being hit with a lawsuit from 12 states, including the state of California, to block the merger between Warner Brothers and Paramount Skydance. WBD, again, continuing to trade higher as this news is digested. Paramount also trading higher. So, again, PSKY and WBD to the upside as we continue to see over the last, again, half an hour or so, circulation of reports that Paramount and Warner Brothers are being sued by 12 states to block the merger between the two companies. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Adara. Yep, very interesting report, of course. We've
And
been
it's not
talking about that.
And it's not good for Paramount too, because we talked about every day that the deal is blocked and delayed. Oh, nice high of the day break there on ELPW.
Yeah, we're looking for more. We're looking for
Oh,
more.
you're in it.
We're looking for a move
All
into
right.
50.
You're in a lot of positions.
Position is. We're going to stop out, though, Joey. If it does lose that 39 to 38 level, that is the area low. So new position alert on ELPW over here. Get it. Oh, TT Mass calling out glue, GLOO. We got to look at that one. TT Mass calling it out and KC seconding it. That must be good. Oh, I love these low volume KC 526 specials. No, get it, KC. Well, she's also saying AGEN. All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took AGEN off the watch list though because it was displeasing me here.
Ooh.
But we're gonna have to look at ELPW. I want to defend into that 38 to 39. What do we got? We got 43s on this one. Okay. We also are out of the majority of the position on sober because it did put in a new area high, but it's having trouble clearing it. And there goes ELPW, pardon me, through the area high into 44 and change, 44.70 now. HOD, we're looking for 5, Mr. Options, and then we're going to look for 6s, 46s, of course. But we are looking to defend. Topping tail should be this one's middle name. Should be all the small cappers' middle names today, man, because you're getting a lot of topping tails on all these monsters. What the helly? Every time we make a new area high, there's immediate selling. There's been very little in like the way of directional movement in one just fell swoop up. It's been very steady state with a lot of selling. So be alive to that. Sober coming back into my entry. We're still holding a little bit here. Now, decision is, do I give this to below the dollar, right? Or do I give it to below area low, right? Because the area low here is not necessarily the dollar. It is at around 96, but that puts it about 10 pennies below my area. And here comes one again. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give it to area low. So let's go 95. We're going to go for the last remaining amount on this monster on SOBR. And that's fine because we did well on this one. So we can give this one a little bit of room here. And then if it catches another bid up, I'll get involved. ELPW displeasing me still, but we have an opportunity to add. So we'll take this opportunity on the dip here to add into ELPW. There we go. No, am I doing something wrong here? ELPW. Yeah, okay, hold on. Yeah, there we go. Okay, good. Good add there. Just hitting the wrong key.
Where's Los?
Yeah, what are you looking at, Joey?
Yeah,
Market's at low?
Yeah. No, I was seeing where Los Pollos and Gorev is. Yeah, I'm seeing what we got going on here on NVDA. It's just not good. This is attempt number 2, right? Cracks the low of the day. We're at a dodge. And I have to go with what the options chain is telling us at this point, Ozan. And you know what? It might be absolutely disastrous, and it might take a little bit more time than what we're going to expect to see this name reach any form of an all-time high again, right? So again, we're sitting at 90,000 contracts at 210. You pop up to 215, and then you pop up to 220, where you just have these massive amounts of concentration. This could be bury. And one valid point that someone made, and I forgot to mention, is that with the amount of size here, this is really where the larger participants are laying. Right? Like if you want to mask yourself when we talk about riding the waves when it comes to trading, well, you can identify that via open interest. You can ride the wave at 210 saying, hey, man, we're probably going to close south of 210 this week, right? Like we'll keep an eye out on that. I understand that it's only 5 points away. Same thing, like you can almost guarantee that we're going to close south of 215. Why? Because there's our delta playing that. And then it's almost very, very much, I mean, this might be a little bit of a stretch, but I'm going to call it here right now. It's almost inevitable that we close south at 220. Now, a catalyst can come in, but what the options market is also telling us, even though this fluctuates, we have a 70% chance that this is going to close OTM, right? And this is what you want, or sorry, OTM by the 17th. I like our chances, and you're still collecting 30 bucks. This is where you collect more, though. $78 on the collector side. Love it when there's a tight spread, $78 on the collector side. if you do have the hunch or believe, there's no need to have a hunch when the numbers are telling you that it's going to, that we're going to close south at 215, which is unfortunate, right? Because I continuously build. Now, what I was leading to and with my next point here, which I think is extremely important to know, and where we experience these large amounts of open interest and what actually happened to the underlying asset itself. Well, let me show you, ladies and gentlemen.
Show 'em,
and you're going to be like, you remember that scene between Lil Yachty and Drake in that music video when they're in the pretending to be Apple employees and they're like, this is that moment.
I'm sorry, Lil Yachty and Drake. I believe you're thinking of the Life is Good video with Future, but I could be wrong.
No, you know what scene I'm talking about when they're in like the Apple store.
Yeah, but wasn't
it's Yachty.
Okay, then he's done 2 identical videos.
Yeah, it's Yachty. This is the point where you go like, oh my God, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And I believe it's within this zone, right? So we had a lot of open interest. We had expected move after expected move earnings report where we just stay within it and we just fluctuate for quite some time. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to be the case right now, but what the options chain is telling us is that there might be a probability of that happening. So yeah, we're still in this long. We're still in the short meta. I don't love doing that, but hey, let's see if we can figure some things out. And I told you, we're such small size, we're waiting till after 2 o'clock to see what we can find.
The IWM's down very close to 0.70%. Let's take a look at 2 individual tickers. VEEE, VEEE, which is Twin V Power Cats, is up 361% on the day. So it's a manufacturer, distributor, and a marketer of power sport boats, which has announced that it'll be entering into a definitive agreement for a transformative transaction that will be combining a merger involving a publicly traded company not named with the concurrent privatization of its boating business under the brands Twin V and Bahama Boat Works. Secondly, we have QTTB that's up almost 90% on the day, Q32 Bio Inc. So Bempikibart, which is an investigational, fully human anti-IL-7RA antibodies being developed by this company for the treatment of severe alopecia areata and other autoimmune diseases. So this antibody has, as of today, received strong and achieved strong efficiency and safety in the phase 2A. So which is why this ticker is up almost 90% on the day and VEEE up 361%.
Thank you very much, Sia, for that. There goes QTTB through the high of the day, back into 22. Sorry, did it get into the high of the day? 22.24 is the HOD. Yeah, it did. It just printed 22.24. No, it says 22.16. Okay, whatever. It's near high of day. Here it is, up 97%. This one's really going. Sia just mentioned it. We were trading it earlier. It's really going here, but the pre-market high is around 7 a.m. That takes you to 22.85. So be looking for that 23-ish seller area. On the lookout for that. I'm in 2 trades right now. Added back into sober in and around that $1 area to reload because it did put in higher lows and it does seem to have a buyer in and around 1. So I'm involved in this one, looking for a bigger move up into the teens, knowing full well, of course, that it really doesn't spend all that much time in one area. So throwing out those beak wetters so we can take those profits and move up, right? So that's what we're looking at. Continue to watch QTTB into highs. And then the trade that right now we'll see, it's at VWAP. So I'm looking for a hold up here on ELPW. Got 40s. It showed me 38, so we're not that much out of the money, but we'll see exactly what we get on this one. I want to point out another one that I've said very little about, but you guys were astutely pointing this one out in the chat. BATL, obviously, you know, sort of a pseudo oil play. Keep your eye out on this one. Neil trades it sometimes. I trade it sometimes when we're looking to take oil, you know, up or down, whatever. 191 high. It's a bit of a slower mover today, but you are able to pick some up off area lows because it just keeps putting in higher highs and higher lows, but not a big mover like the others. So BATL should be in focus. But the best of the bunch, I would say right now, are going to be SOBR and QTTB, right? And we'll see how ELPW ends up working out. It is very similar to EHGO, which does concern me, where it had that big pre-market move, cleared VWAP again, and then came back down to VWAP. Now EHGO failed VWAP. We'll see if ELPW does. Now the difference between the two is that ELPW has taken out the pre-market highs whereas EHGO has not. So something to think about there. It could be a distinction without a difference. Time will tell, and we'll see what we get there, and we won't get upset. Shout out to my man Neil. But if there are any other small cap gappers that are making a move here that I have failed to mention, and that, to the long side anyway, do tag me in the chat so we have a notice of that. But yeah, we'll keep eyes on all these ones, Joey, but we're only involved in 2 now. Let's see how it works out.
Good stuff.
You're showing on Facebook,
I was watch it.
Okay.
Watch this.
I did see that
Did you
already.
see?
That's the Russian training. I can't even believe that.
That's
the dude,
crazy, bro.
the commanding officer that almost got his headshot off there.
It's wild,
He
man.
just ducks in time.
No,
That's
just by a
crazy.
split second. But that's what happens when you mount something that isn't probably supposed to be mounted and manned by an individual. All right, guys, let's get right back into these markets. Long NVDA, it decides to
Can I
sell
ask
off.
something, bro?
Short FBL deciding to move higher. Yeah, what's up?
Okay, this had me thinking on the weekend.
Yeah.
I've often talked about the possible military applications of eVTOLs. Being a disgruntled Joby investor at the moment, right? One can't help but, wonder what possibilities you could use to generate some cash for this one. So is it beyond the realm of possibility to throw on some weapons into this kind of Joby? The only thing that I was thinking about are weight constraints, right? So it would have to be weight efficient, because that seems to be the problem with these. Battery life is kind of limited to how much weight you're carrying. But I'm sure that that's probably a technical challenge that they could solve, right? Just dropping the weight of ordnance, right? So that the explosives would not necessarily have to weigh a lot to have, a bigger payload, so to speak. I don't know, man, but why are there not these flying eVTOLs shooting stuff out of the air? I hate to put it that way, but why are there not?
There will be.
But
I'm telling you, there will be at some point, man. I'm telling you, I mean, for quite some time, and even more so now, I've always been a believer that there's no such thing as roadblocks, man, only bumps. Like anything, any issue, the majority of issues can be solved. And I think, to your point, that's one of them, man. If there's a problem with something, someone will, if they really want to. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Can you
in everything in life, you could just
someone
find a
just
way to
on this thing, hovering above you, just with guidance system rockets,
man, it's inevitable.
what?
One person's gonna try it, and then the next thing you know, it's gonna be more popular.
I don't understand.
It's inevitable, my boy.
Anyway,
there goes the NVDA to the south side a little bit more. I mean, there it goes, man. Have to listen to what the chain's telling us, and it is a down day. NVDL down 5%, NVDA down 2.5% here. So it's just a matter of how long this will take. And I mean, we get all upset when this selling. I mean, this was the tariff tantrum of last year, but at least it happened relatively quick. Whereas in this scenario, or in this case, it may not happen as fast as what we're expecting. I'm gonna keep to my strikes, like 3 strikes at the plate, and then that's it. Then we'll have to abandon thesis. There are a couple of things that are starting to align, but with the Nasdaq and the SPY heading southbound, not too great of a look, but I do like what we're seeing here for one more attempt on this. You want to be patient, one more time. That'll be it. Then we have to find something else. We're going to remain with our short here on META, even though there's a lot of positive things going forward right now. Let's send things over to the desk.
Just be aware, guys. Fed Governor Christopher Waller is set to begin speaking here at 12:30 p.m. So we're probably going to start seeing these comments come through at any moment. Could also be that he's not going to be discussing monetary policy, but you never really know until the comments are made. So if there is anything of note coming from Fed's Waller, I'll let you know. Now, in terms of where he kind of lies in the hawkish or dovish side of things, I used to be able to say he was reliably dovish because, of course, we know that he and Fed's Bowman voted in favor of a cut, I believe, at the meeting last July. Obviously, they were outvoted. But either way here, guys, as of late, not really too much to kind of gauge either way in terms of a sense of direction. Again, he used to be for sure dovish. Now, a little bit more in the middle. If there is anything of note, we'll keep you posted. Back to you.
Back to you. All right, let's try this one more time, ladies and gentlemen. We'll hop in a little bit more shares here on this one. But again, if it breaks the low, that's why we keep getting in. Cracks lows, than we get out of Dodge. So a little bit more shares on this one, nothing substantial, add 50%. So combined, it's still a little bit less, about 33% of combined positions, but a nice little strong uptick there. That's what we want to see. We have no issues with getting out of FBL, just due to the fact and the pricing of each individual one. With the amount of shares we have on here compared to here, they should offset one another, but we want to find somewhat more of a bounce. Now, where is going to be my primary target? I think 206.63 could be a good level for a bounce. And I'm not talking about something blasting all the way back through the volume weighted average price, because I don't think that's going to be the narrative here on today's session. So we'll be patient. We'll allow this to cook up a little bit more, and we'll hold until target. I don't know if we're going to get the breakdown here in META. A lot of positive things and a big time gap up with that name on Friday. So the long-term account liking the performance of META lately.
Shout out, man. Great call out, TT Mass, FTRK on the midst of a breakout now. Watch out for this one. It's really starting to move. So 72.93 is the official area high. We do have a move from the aftermarket on Friday that got into around 80 pennies on FTRK. So that puts us about 11 pennies from there. So be on the lookout for that. Let's see what the position on Sober is doing. Still holding that dollar, but not really finding a lot of support to the high side. You're finding support at the dollar, but there is also that 10 EMA on the 5 that's keeping us up. Also, this one here, ELPW, about to stop out. We have 38s. If this one loses 36, we're getting out of this one. So it'll be an L here on ELPW, a bit of a retracement off that 44.70 high and back down now into 36 and change. So that's what we'll keep an eye on. But it does seem like FTRK is all the focus right now, as it just got back into area highs. I have to put this one up on the side chart for it to update. FTRK up 80% or thereabouts. So it's going to have a lot of people's attention. Yeah, I got the Woody Woodpecker high. No, man, this is a Blue Jays, Zion. Come on, man. You don't know the Blue Jays? Bruh. FTRK finding resistance at around 72, back into 67. Could be a buy area in between 65 to 67. Breakout high from earlier at around 7 a.m. was around 65 pennies. Look for a hold up there, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Keep your eye out on that. I'm not going to jump into this one quite yet. Want to see if it wants to hold up at 65. Here it is at around 65. Do we get a bit of a bounce? We are going to fail prior bar low if we lose that level. So then it'll have to set up a little bit differently at around maybe 60 to 62.5. But for now, I do nothing on this one unless it really finds a bit of a bid here. QTTB as well, continuing to fail 22. That has been the story on QTTB the entire day. It's a bit inability, I should say, pardon me, to take out 22. So I don't know how this cookie is going to crumble, but it does seem like, you know, we are accumulating for an eventual $22, decisive $22 break, because we've been hanging out here for a long time. So I just feel like maybe something's coming, even though we're not involved right now. Almost break even back here on ELPW, and that poses questions for me. Do I like this trade recovering, or is it the opportunity to get the hell out of the trade and, you know, just call it quits with a break-even trade? I think I'm going to do that, whether it's the right decision or not. Here it is. In fact, we're going to make a little bit on this trade. So good look there. We'll focus on the other ones that are moving, and I'm going to stay away from these ones that have had big pre-market moves and then lure me in. That's two now, ELPW, and the other one, EHGO. We're not going to get lured in a third time. We're going up to Adair.
Keep an eye on the market at lows right now. You guys trying to bounce off here. We do have some comments of note from Feds Waller, who, as I mentioned, did just begin speaking. I guess these are just the prepared comments here. He's saying that he expects a deceleration in headline inflation, starting with this week's inflation data. So that would include tomorrow's CPI print and Wednesday's PPI print. He also said he's going to be specifically looking at the core reading, not the first time we've heard that from a Fed speaker, and that the, quote, real side of the economy is actually in good shape. He said that you are still seeing some upward pressure in inflation from factors like tariff, energy prices, and demand from AI build-out. He did also say, though, that the labor market's not a source of inflationary pressure. Basically saying, I think the key thing here that he said that I want to really emphasize is that he thinks he can get to that 2% inflation target without necessarily having to raise rates. So that's a good look. He's not being overly hawkish. He's just saying we might have to stay where we are for a little bit here as things sort themselves out. So interesting comments. If I see anything else, I'll keep you posted. In the meantime, we have a segment here from Sia.
Thank you so much for that, Adara. Let's take a look at what the market's doing right now. The SPY is currently still sliding towards the downside, down 0.68% to be precise. Let's take a look at the sector. So electric tech, we have NVIDIA sliding towards the downside, down 2.6%, with Apple trading almost flat, but it is a bit inclining towards the green, up 0.61% at the moment. We have all the other names, chip and stock names, INTC, Cisco, AMD, AVGO, MU, continuing to slide in the downside. TXN, Dell, KLAC, GE, all in the red, followed by SMDK down 12% on the day. We have tech services, Google trading flat at the moment. We also have Microsoft up 2% almost on the day, and Meta down 1.3%. So it's massive Hyperion data center project in rural Louisiana is getting much bigger and costlier. Reports coming in today. This comes with a big assist from the state's government. We have Oracle sliding 4.6%, with Netflix, Palantir, and IBM up over 8%, with Palantir leading the pack up 2.2%. We have finance, lots of big names reporting earnings tomorrow and the day after. BRKB is up 0.51%, JPM BAC down 1%, both respectively. We have Visa and MasterCard up over 1%. Visa's closing to 2%. MSGS, WFC all in the red, and American Express trading closer up to 1%. We have retail trade. Amazon is up 1.1%. Walmart trading flat at the moment. Costco is up close to 1% as well. And Home Depot sliding closer to 2%, whereas TJX is flat on the day. Producer manufacturing is a little bit of a bear today. AMET down 4.8%. CAT is down almost 2.5% on the day. We have LRCX down 6%. And GEV down 4% as well. Consumer non-durables is a bit of a mixed sentiment across the sector, followed by utilities and industrial sectors as well. We have we have in transportation, Uber technically flat, very close to 1%, however, up 1%, and FedEx down 1% on the day. UNP is also flat at the moment. In energy minerals, you have everything in the green. That's not something that you want to see strong. Oil prices jumped today after U.S. President Donald Trump has said that the U.S. would reimpose a naval blockade against Iran, and as Tehran and Washington are battling to control the Strait of Hormuz. So this decision to reimpose the blockade coming after the U.S. and Iran have exchanged strikes over the weekend. So with that, energy is super strong here. Probably one of the strongest sectors on the S&P today. XOM up 3.7%. We have CVX up 2.2%, followed by all the other names in the green. Super strong here. Consumer services, you have McDonald's sliding towards the downside, 1.1%. You have WBD up 2.4% on the day. So a group of state attorney generals are expected to file a lawsuit challenging PSKY's proposed acquisition of WBD. Adara also gave us more information to that. Recently, we have RCL up 3.5% and Hilton down 3.8%. With that, you have health services, UNH up 1%, ELV up 2%, whereas HCA down 1.2%. Non-energy distribution, bit of a mixed sentiment, with communications looking pretty good. Echo down 3% on the day. That's all for your sector watch.
Good stuff, Echo Star. I like that. There's a point, something that I wanted to bring up, Sia. Thank you very much for that. But yeah, good thing we did get out of NVDL. Trapman for real telling me all about the gamma exposure, stepping in at 205. It's going to be absolutely disastrous for this name here in the near future. So, I mean, shout out Michael Burry, who's short this name. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe Derek can tell us what his average price is or anything along those lines, nor do I care. But hey, it is what it is, NVDL. Imagine we went short right here, 31.75, bang. All the way to the downside. So a nice little 70-cent mover on that one. But what isn't breaking down right now is FBL. This thing's holding up. Like, I don't know, there's some solid support level in a consolidation range. But as the market heads lower, we look for indecision prints. You guessed it. Market lower, USO. Are we moving higher? Most likely, I think, because now oil play back in here, guys. Yeah, so we're just creeping lower. I mean, the momentum in the NASDAQ is nothing compared to what we're seeing to the top side here in USO. But who's really leading the race? DRAM looking like it wants to break down. SK Hynix, oh no, you're heading lower as well, too. Look at this head and shoulder on the 5-minute time frame. Western Digital, downside. So the memory storage plays. That's why you don't chase, ladies and gentlemen, because it can get absolutely dangerous. Sharif, from a percentage metric, how much are we down off of the all-time highs here on SanDisk?
On the disk?
Yeah.
Whoa,
Oh, you're
Joseph.
cheating now, man.
Oh, I thought you were asking me.
Yeah. Well,
legitimately.
we typically
we're
don't
up
look.
600%.
But how much are we down off?
How much are we down?
Yeah.
Oh boy, I'm gonna say.
You've seen it. I've seen you look. You've seen it.
I can see, but I can't even.
Oh, you can't read it?
67%. Is that say 28%?
28%,
Okay.
yeah.
See, I didn't even know where to look, bro. That
yeah.
shows you how much I wasn't cheating.
That's all right.
This
All right.
guy,
I
bro,
trust you, man.
He suspects everything, bro. V's trying to make a move. Suspect everybody, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I see V. I see it, Tisha. But you know, this one's a suspect, right? Yeah, because V has fooled a lot of people today with false breakouts. But let's load it up on a trading screen. Here it is, the monster V. It's still up 372%. It's found a good base. You want to say in and around 20 area. Problem is, when you look at the area highs, they're all a little bit lower than their predecessors. So it does create a bit of a problem here in terms for the longs anyway. And, you know, I don't even know how this cookie crumbles. We're putting in higher lows, bro, also putting in lower highs. So I guess you could try to set up at one of the extremities if you're long or short. I don't know what the locates on this would be, but here we go. Moving in nicely here into about 23 and change. It's really had trouble taking out 25 at all, you know, let alone closing above 25. 24.98 is limit up right now. So be on the lookout for that. This one could really start to get going here. I got at a sober, so we'll give back a little bit on that one. Tried to defend the dollar. It lost the dollar, so it looks like it's heading back to maybe high 80s, mid 80s, where VWAP is. We'll let that cookie crumble. We got 2202s here on QTTB. I'm pretty sure this one is going to take out 22 decisively, whether or not it does in a straight line. So we're just trying to build a position into this one for a possible clearing of that. But there's a lot running. I mean, there's no shortage of stuff to look at, right? And here comes V, and here comes 25 on V. It's 25.34 limit up. I think 24.80 here's seller. But we've seen this move before. I don't think we've seen 25 in a while. The last time we were above 25 was 11.25, so it was an hour ago. So here we go, another rejection of 25 for now. But, you know, the tape and the speed of the book is really picking up here, and that usually means a lot of volume is coming in. Good. Another rejection here at 25 was we opened up a new 5-minute candle on VEEE. A lot of momentum here midday. We haven't even done that many shares, quite frankly. You know, when you look at it, just objectively speaking, 52 million shares, but on a $24 name. So yeah, there is that. There's a lot going, guys. FTRK as well. I was trying to take out area highs, QTTB, you know, moving as well. So lots of stuff to look at. No shortage here, Joey. BATL also took a bit of a flush here. I don't know what's going on with that. Into 189, dropping all the way down to 170. Recovering a little bit now into 180. So yeah, holy mole. A lot to look at. What do you got, Joey?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot stepping in right now, guys. We had a massive volume event right here, right? You can see that this is the largest print since approximately that other volatility spike at 10:15 bright and early this morning. Same thing here with NVDA. So Los Polios, Gorev, and I are all looking at these prints, and we have two stars aligning. But also we have to take into consideration and have to be aware of the fact that, hey, if these signals are blown past, it can get absolutely dangerous in some of these names, especially to the south side. So if you're not sure, what I'm just getting smoked here in Meta. At least that's going up. Hey, man, we'll take that Meta up. We're going short Meta. So we got one winner on today. But we're just like, again, I was putting on such small share size, it's not going to have any effect. If I decide to go in a full risk unit, then it's just like, boom, off to the races we go in a couple of cents ITM. Then we're absolutely rocking and rolling. So I got my eyes on the NASDAQ. I want to post up at 72.80, and I'm going to put an actual half decent amount of share on shareage, Sharif would like to share shareage on this one, just because I do like everything that's aligning. So we're gonna really up the size on this bad boy and see if we can get a nice little move. But again, I don't want anything more than 72.80. That's where I'm posted up at. I'll display it to you guys here right now. And I believe that NVDA is going to get a bounce, but how deep is this bounce going to be is the real question.
V's ripping.
Let's go over
V's going to hold up. Sorry, guys. V's going to hold up. We got 24s on the dot. 26.36 limit up here. We need a few more seconds. We got this one, so let's see how we do. And I don't have that much left. We wet the beak up. Halted. Upside V. $26.35. Halt time 12:42.24. Earliest open is going to be 12:47.24. We send you up to a dare.
So I want to let you guys know here, more comments coming from Fed's Waller. He's saying that he is worried about the scenario in which stricter policy could be required. Fed's Waller also saying here that the Fed might need to hike rates if the core inflation this week comes in hot. So again, keep an eye on core CPI and core PPI. Fed's Waller saying that if we get hotter than expected core inflation, the Fed might need to hike rates. And again, that would be a scenario where stricter policy would be required. We'll take a look here at the Schemy Fed Watch tool, which as we looked at earlier, we were seeing about 60-40, still pretty close here, about 58% chance of rates being held, but 41% chance that we'll actually get a 25 basis point rate hike, at that July meeting. Back to you.
There we go, baby. Good look here on VEEE. Doing it live. All right, so the top now showing 27.15. High of the day, 29.19. So we do have room even above the current level. 27.30, 27.24 now is the theoretical auction price on VEEE. We're also caught in a kind of, oh wow, we just got right back into the money on this one. What a rocket ship up. QTTB here, picked it up off that $0.50 low, looking for another move, possibly through 22. There's 22 again. What do we have? 24 on the dot. There we go. Let's set up here at 15s. We got some shares on this one. Let's go ahead and see if we can take out some at the $0.25. We need a decisive clearing of 22, man. We are just not getting that on this one. So it does concern me that we do get a flush back down on QTTB. That seller at 22 has been a tough cookie to clear. And here we go, zigging and zagging again with that level. My days on QTTB. Your decisions to be made. You just flatten out, break even, or do you take this one aggressively north? Just had trouble with it all day, but every time it gets picked up pretty aggressively off that 20. The money fills on QTTB have been off that 20 moving average, but you just haven't been able to catch the continuation above 22. Unless you had resting orders, you really haven't been able to catch it. I mean, I haven't, so maybe some other people have if you were watching it intently, but I haven't been able to do it. So yeah, here we are, break even on this one, looking possibly for some more. Yeah, let's just focus on VE. We'll take the money on this one. We had 80s, so not bad, not bad. All right, 27.36 here, showing tap on VEEE with the current time. What do we got current time-wise? 45.15. Again, 47.24 is going to be the earliest time on this one. V, open gap to 32, says Tisha. That's crazy. Let's take a quick look at V over here and see on the daily what to expect. I mean, I think we already looked at this, but let's look at it again. Let's start with the daily. And you needn't concern yourselves with the chart on these small cap gappers. They all typically look alike. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Tisha. I like the move into 55. Let's just say the first shelf here seems to be like 48 to 50, which would make sense, that $50 shelf clear. And then I like that bigger move up as well into that 55 area. So VEEE, I mean, it can get going here. So choose your share size correctly. We're still not even at the high of the day, okay? And even the top is not even clearing the high of the day quite yet. The top is showing 27.36. The same thing we reported before. Ozan sees 41 on that. I respect your opinion, Ozan. Yeah, that's fair there. All right, VEEE, let's see exactly what time it is. It's 46.19, so we have another minute or so before this one opens. And we also have to bring your attention here to FTRK because it's still accumulating south of 75 pennies. So this has been a very good look here on FTRK. But my suggestion would be to pick it up in the mid-60s. They look like the money prints there. Something to look at there. How we doing here on QTTB? Looks like we're decidedly above 22. Should have held on to this one for a 22.50 break, but you know, just can't hold on to too much all at one time here. All right, we are close to opening up, about 30 seconds here on V. So now let's keep an eye out on the top to see if we get a flush on the top. So before resumption, 30 seconds or so, 45 seconds or so, I like to keep my eye on the top to see what direction it's heading in. Are we starting to move up? Are we moving down to get an idea of what the price action could be on resumption? 26.35 here. We got 24s, 27.52, 67, 65. It looks like it's moving up. 28 now on the top. First time I see 28s, 27.87. Are we going to get resumption on time? I don't know. I don't even know what time it is. Dropping back down to 50s. So it looks like we will not resume on time. So this will be a 10-minute halt at minimum. on VEEE. Sucks. No, Case. You're delayed there. We should have opened already, Case. I think, unless you're talking about something else, right? So that's it. So that's what we're looking at, Joey. We're involved here in a halt up on V. 446%, 52.5 million shares. And there goes QTTB back above 22. Watch out here for the rejection, as this one has had trouble with 22 all day.
All right, man. Good look there. Yeah, I mean, low score. We got the same idea now. What we want to look for here is the potential turnaround. Where are we going to? I'm posted up at 72.80s. I told you with the amount of size, I don't want any price more than that. If I do start to chase around 70.30, I wouldn't call it a chase, to be honest with you. I would just have to reduce this size and remove the bid, that's all. What's up, others? You delayed. Man, that's crazy.
Because I was like, she's like 15-second resumption. I'm the one delayed. I'm doing the show. I'm the one who's
you delay, man. You gotta
what
listen
a joke. Get it, Case.
Yeah, shout out to her. I hope some group home and Apple gets smoked on Microsoft. Crazy squeeze by algos. Yeah, let's pull up and let's head over to our watch list, guys, and see what we got going on. We're posted up on that level. We got all out of META as it's now starting to head to the south side. All right, guys, damn, 2.8% to the downside. But still inside here on NVDA, inside day there, Sharif. Google still holding, 355 we were looking at earlier this morning. Now we're trading at 356, not too bad. We're negative on the session. AAPL up 0.4%. As I put in some big time movement bright and early.
Yeah, but look at
here
the
today.
Sell-off.
Yeah, sell-off. That's what happens, man. You tap into a new all-time high, and those sellers step in aggressively. And I don't know what's up with that. You would think it would hold, but we see it more often than not. There, my boy, when you tap into all-time highs. What a tease, bro. Yeah, it is. It is. Hey, man, that's exactly what it is. We'll keep it PG around here. AAPL, SpaceX down 4%. I believe we're gonna see 135, 125 in the near term, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm just getting that feel about SpaceX.
And
you know what's your boy Sam Altman and Scam Altman and Elon Musk going at it. So his parole officer. Hey, is Sam Altman going to be SBF number 2? SBF number 2, if you guys know who SBF.
Let's get to it right now. Does someone put a contract out on Altman?
That'd be tough, man. He's probably not that easy to touch, to be honest.
I don't mean that kind of contract.
Oh.
I mean, maybe he catches charges.
Oh.
Maybe something happens to him, right? I think he's aggravating a lot of people.
He's aggravating everybody. Karma will get him, if anything.
I don't know. Altman is, he's treading.
Karma will
29 tap, by the way.
Karma.
Blicky Spears like that one. Of course he did. Allegedly, of course. Yeah. Right? But, reputation, doesn't really have to be based on,
this is the market really
real life, people's decision-making generally rests on pretty thin evidence. And I think that, his reputation is really interesting. Really interesting. I don't know where it's going, but it's going somewhere. Everything, of course, allegations. It was quite entertaining, let me tell you, though. The weekend Twitter wars between Elon and Scam Altman, but it should be quite interesting. You see, he's like maybe your parole officer. Or
I see.
But then Altman fired back. He's like, "Yo, what are these data centers you're trying to sell the market on that are temporary?" I don't think anybody thought that they weren't going to be temporary because we know in general low Earth orbit satellites are temporary in nature. Why would the data centers be any different? I don't think he was lying to anybody about that.
Me neither, man.
But in any event, go ahead.
What was funny here was the order of it. So the parole thing actually came after Sam Altman called out the temporary nature of these satellites. Basically like, hey, you're like, more or less selling these investors on these whole space data centers. And then Elon says, oh, you're actually going to be able to see them in a year. Maybe your parole officer will let you out to see them. So I feel like the timing of the diss made it even more like punchy. This whole thing was nuts.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was, quite frankly, it was nuts. But it was entertaining for the weekend.
Absolutely.
So I'll tell you that, right? But
because they don't like each other, man. So obviously,
a new energy drink. Leave me alone, bro. I got up quick to go to the doctor today. All right, I didn't get a chance to, leave me alone, man. Why? Any difference?
I was thinking about it because now, like Sean rocked the hat. I might come in Friday. We'll come in casual.
Oh, we're open.
There you go,
Joey, we're opening big through 29. It is a 31.74 high. We got 24s on this one. It is ripping. but we're gonna go now, SSE. Look at what it's doing, man.
Yeah, we honestly
All right.
can't. We honestly can't go right this second, Sharif, because I told you. Listen, we'll go there. I don't know how many times I can hit this. We'll hit the money. We'll hit the Stone Cold.
Hit everything.
This is what I'm talking about. So I told you, listen. Just messing around, and then I'm like, all right, we see something that we need to hammer the share size. I took 3 losses in a row on NVDL and a loss there on FBL. This one position eliminates all of that, and then you go green on realized. So again, we just hammered the share size right there. Off to the races we go on this bad boy. The TQQs. I told you I didn't want anything else other than $72.80. Nothing else. And it could have done whatever it wanted to, but there we go. We're getting amped up here right now. Got some cool stuff to show you guys momentarily. Let's send it off to the desk as we cook up the TQQs.
We have the USD JPY pair up almost 0.5% on the day, trading around 162 per dollar region. Let's also take a look what's going on with the Indian rupee here. So Indian rupee and government bonds will likely be tracking developments in the Middle East conflict alongside its inflation data from the US and India to gauge the impact of the volatile oil prices on broader costs, as well as the decisions of the central bank policy. So now the rupee had closed at 95.325 per dollar on Friday, to be exact, which is down 0.1% on the week, as renewed hostilities in the Gulf have dented this sentiment a bit. But currently it's sitting at the 95.6 per dollar region, which is up 0.25% on the day. Let's also take a look at how the dollar is doing at the moment, with the DXY hovering around the 101.2 mark right now. DXY currently up on the day 0.28%. I would say the dollar currently receiving a bit of a mild boost in safe haven demand.
Thank you very much for that, Sia. Guys, 30 is an elusive area to close above here on V, and now they're selling at 29s. So we're getting selling at 29. The previous area of selling was 30, and down it goes. Limit down is 26.72. I'm out. Here, there it is, into the halt parameter. I had to get out. I didn't want to get caught in a down halt, But if this does clear out 30, I am interested in getting back in. I'm going to need to see a closing print, though. We're preceded here on the current 5-minute candle. I'm talking about the 1255 candle. We're preceded by a monster topping till inverse hammer candle. And then the current price action wasn't able to take out 30. So I had to take it out there. That means we gave off a little bit from the top, and that means we left money on the table. But got to practice some gratitude. Good trade on this one. Been happy with the trading today, despite the fact that we are red on some names, but we're also decidedly positive on some others. So continuing to watch this one. I think this one's got the juice. Here comes 30 again. Showing 29s again, Joey, and the volume and the price action here on the tape and the book really picking up. In fact, it hasn't really calmed back down. And here's 30 again, guys. Seller at 82. Big seller here. So we're still, this current candle has a lower high and a lower low. So even though we are moseying on back to 30, the trend is still to the downside. Lower high and lower low on this current 5-minute candle. Be alive to that and wait for a decisive break before putting your money on the line, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, there it goes. So you guys, we'll talk a little bit about some tomfoolery right here. But other than that, man, we're not going to complain about this, just eliminating all of our other losses and our little moves. But we had, what did I have, about 30% remaining, and it come back. I mean, it didn't hit the break even, but I just thought at the pace that we were going to, but then it makes a strong uptick. So it is what it is. At least we have a clean slate, slightly green, some coffee cash, and we're not going to complain about it. But here it is, right? Like, so we're long initially, but then we see this consolidation and think we're going to get a breakdown. Now, this is no coincidence, all right? So you get this move up. This is just pure in the actual underlying asset itself. If you're intraday trading, every penny matters. That's why I believe posting up is extremely important. You don't always just want to punch because you're not going to get the best price. So if you post up, you'll get a pretty good move, in my opinion. So here it is. You get this move higher, and it absorbs all of this liquidity, traps the longs, stops all the shorts out, including myself, who are thinking you're going to get this initial breakdown. only to head right back south of this level. So this is something that you need to keep an eye out on. There goes the overall market, a bunch of signs displaying themselves saying, hey, look at us, we're ready to go. Oh man, what a pullback right here. Dwarfing my trade. There it is, a strong uptick, guys. I'm out of it now.
Right.
It's moving higher, but a nice move there, guys. I'm happy with what we got going on. I'm not going to complain about it. Nice move there, Gorv. Did you take the TQQs too? Because it's getting awfully strong, Joe Rogan over here. 204.97 on NVDA. Maybe we can find a little bit of a bounce across the ballpark here. So 73.23, and we grabbed that low. So a pretty good look and a nice rebound. Just liquidity grab there, a pullback, and then decide to make a new move higher. So it is what it is. We're not going to complain. We'll definitely be happy with what we made of it, considering it was by far our largest position of the intraday session.
All right, man. We're back in VEEE. Looking for a hold out of the majority of the position. Want to move back above 32, and there it goes again. But no continuation. It's a 32.65 high. Looking for a hold on the bid of 32. A move below the $0.50 will end the trade for me. Now we're above the bid. That's it for me. I'm going to take it out there. I want to see if it moves back into 30 so I can get a better cost basis on that. So that's what we'll set up for. But, you know, this one is looking primed here. 32.98 is going to be limit up on this one currently. A lot of strength here on VEEE. Back down into 31 it goes. Look for a 30 hold. 30 right now, 30 and 90. I want to say 30, 90, 30, 80, back above 31. See if it gives us that possible 30 opportunity. And if it does it hold that area? And always look to see where the buyers are stepping in, right? Is there habitual area? In the same way that we look for the sellers stepping in at certain areas, because you want to know who's backstopping you as much as you want to know who's blocking you, right? That's kind of the nature of that game. So 31 general buyer, and I do mean 30.80 to 31 general buyer there, keeping us afloat. Now it's time probably to flip to the 5-second chart. In situations like this, I do like to spot the areas of support and resistance locally. So 32.65, you want to say 32.5 resistance. We're seeing good support here at 31. So there was good support around 31. We're curling, but we're unable to take out 32 here locally on the 5-second chart. 31 showing up again. There's the buyer. There's the buyer at 31. But there it goes, flushing, Joey, into 30.50. So this one could give us a 30 touch here now that we've been looking for that. Here it comes. Now you're seeing 30. Oh, my days, the volatility on this. Down goes Fraser. We're going to limit down here into 27.61. That was limit down. We're defending that level. Wow, the volatility on this is crazy. Now we're going to do front double bicep, my boy. Someone was talking crap about my biceps in the chat earlier. They're like, yo, they're getting smaller. I'm like, yo, don't talk about my biceps, crazy, bro. Catch hands. Talk about my biceps. Anyway. What are you doing over there, Joe?
No, I'm just reading something. All right, yeah, we'll see if we can get that figured out.
What do we got there? Feds Waller says it's not the right time to rely on forward guidance. All right, okay, that's fine. We won't rely on forward guidance.
All right. Yeah, don't rely on forward guidance. I don't know what's up with that. But here it is, guys. Some nice movement here in the TQQs. So what we are going to do is, considering we have no more size in this, or we don't have any position on this here, is we're going to look for another opportunity. And I know we've taken our strikes here at the plate. All right, on NVDA, so we're not going to be participating in that bad boy. AMDL typically has a wider spread, Sharif, just in case you didn't hear me the first time. So are we going to get a rebound? Hey, ooh, it's looking pretty tasty. But anyways, aside from that, the volume is really low, guys. We didn't get the volume VPA signals that we've seen in the NASDAQ in the SPY. USO up 5% now at this point, slowly starting to pull back. So you can see those strong upticks in the market, and then you get those downticks in USO, breaking this wedge. All right, so breaking this wedge is USO. That's not too bad, man, especially on that resistance zone at 113. Are you guys playing USO once again, as it is clearly in play? And there we go. META putting in a new low. So I don't have any positions, guys. A nice little W on the TQQQ is putting us back to the green side. Robinhood, we need this $100 level to hold up. What I don't like seeing, I understand that we're stair-stepping and then taking additional legs higher, but if this cracks, or even if around 105 we sit on the backside of that trend, there could be a little bit more issues in the near-term future for Robinhood. Now, as for the banks, JPM was down about 1%, 0.8 to be exact, closer to 0.9. But let's pull up JPM one more time and see how some of these major banks are performing, considering they are reporting tomorrow, and we're going to go over those expected moves here momentarily. I know we got the news there coming up.
We're going to start at 115.
115? All right, cool. So here it is, right? $334. You're down 5.5%. Morgan Stanley down 1%. Goldman Sachs down 1% as well to 1.33. So not stacking up the percentage gains here today, but that's all right. We're not going to be worried about it, nor are we going to write home about it, because we have the utmost confidence in the American banks, big banks.
You have the utmost confidence you're going to be stacking. There you go.
In JP, it should be called JPA Morgan, JP Money.
JP Money, here we go. V is giving you more money here. If you're long, what a hold off that 10 EMA, let's say 27 bucks. Still not at the high of the day, but that feels like it's moments away. 33.75 limit up. High of day, 32.82. It's having trouble with 32.5. You're seeing the ask above 32, but the bid is not. So be on the lookout here for this one. This one could rip through the high of the day sooner rather than later, and it is not going to be slow about it. It will be quick. So make sure you're able to catch the orders, both the entry and the exits, of course. Make sure you're using sound risk management, right? I don't want anybody to think, because I used to say this a lot, but now it's just like you're concentrating, you forget to say it. These are ones that are around for a good time, not a long time. So just because I'm trading these intraday, by no means is it an endorsement of the company or that you should be holding it for anything other than seconds at a time. That's what these ones do, right? Some other people have different strategies, like some people in the chat, they'll hold this from, say, 22.5 into 32. They're good at that, right? But if you're a newer trader and you're thinking you're just going to get into this and it's just going to go in a straight line, they don't typically do that, right? So make sure you know what the skills are that are required, what you're looking for, support and resistance, this, that, and the other, and all the different things that we talk about here on the show. So yeah, just wanted to mention that because this one, if it turns around, and it probably will at some point, right? And if you're holding this, you're going to be out of the money substantially, especially if you took big size. Got to be alive to that, right? Anyway, so VEEE, continuing to watch, 32.82, nothing doing there. Now, in a new position, I'm back into FTRK. I'm thinking this one might want to hold VWAP. It's putting in some higher low, so I want to see if this one can get back into 70. I'm not going to give it much in the way of room. If it doesn't hold prior area low, which to me is 62 pennies, I'm out. Simple as that. So we're in at 66. We'll give it to 4, and we'll see if we can take out the high of the day at around 75, right? So that's kind of the thing that I'm looking for there, and we'll see what we get on that. Sober, we've done nothing with ever since it broke down. It's straddling here the dollar area, so something tells me that this dollar area could be another setup for a high day break. Now, we got to about the $0.25 at around 123, but no continuation through that. So SOBR also in focus. And then look at QTTB bleeding its own blood. Very pleased, remember, because I built my position in here, and then when we got break even on it, we had to make the decision. Do I continue for a 22 hold? And I was just like, you know what, man? It felt like the shorts were they had the stronger hand today when it came to QTTB at $22 level, and I wasn't going to fight this trend, so we got the hell out. And this one had lost all the way back into 20. It could be 1950 before this one finds support, as that is the volume weighted average price. So be alive to that. Keep your eye out on it. VEEE still zigging and zagging here with 30 bucks. How's my other trade? There goes FTRK. Now it's into 67 pennies. We're looking for more. We're looking for 69, Ozan. So we're going to need you to punch into this one. You're always asking me to tell Katina Man to punch in. Need you to punch in here, Ozan. 101, almost 102 million shares traded on the day here on FTRK. We got good shares, and we're looking for that 70 touch. And if we get 70, Joey, I'm going to be talking about 75.
Oh, okay. I like that one there. Yeah, come on, Dark Age Metals. You don't got to be so negative there, my guy.
Well, what do you say, Joey?
It's all right. I mean, he's not saying anything bad, to be honest with you. He just thinks that the banks are going to mess everyone up. I just think that's hard to to say, just due to the fact the amount of money that these hyperscalers are spending. It's literally insane. So no, I don't. No, he doesn't deserve one. He's just voicing his opinion. You don't have to be so negative about it. That's all. And no swearing, please, no swearing. All right, Fed's Waller. If I get another higher inflation print, I will treat that as a signal, not noise. Fair enough. I think a lot of it has to do with the increase in oil prices. There goes the TQQQs. I mean, listen, we talk about rules, and I'm not. Oh man, my poor mind, Sharif. At times, I was gonna say rules are there to be
broken.
Yeah, but they're not, because eventually, you know what they say: you can break your rules. Eventually, they'll break you. All right. So $31. I do like the NVDA for a potential bounce. We missed out on this big time move here on the TQQQs. Now we can catch a laggard play. We're only about 10 cents off the lows. This has to be the final attempt here on NVDA, just in case we do get a little bit of a bounce. I do like the base that we're starting to form. Let's do this, man. What else are we doing here?
What are you doing,
well,
Joey?
you know what the Katina man says.
What does he say?
Traders got to trade, man, and if we see something, we got to
Oh.
try and take advantage of it. So we'll take one more stab on this bad boy. I put on full risk here on this.
Oh.
If it breaks down 31s, we have to get out of dodge on that, Sharif. It will put us back slightly red, but nothing to write home about.
Okay.
We had that nice, I shouldn't call it monstrous, but we have 4 losses, and then we put on 1 win, and then we just we go green, right? Like risk to reward and sizing is extremely important. This one we're sized a little bit more, just due to the fact that the market is finding a rebound. 31.30s is going to be an ideal target, but if we head lower, then we know that the shorts are in full control.
Full control.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. We were taking some prints here into almost 70 pennies on FTRK. Best print 69.5. We didn't quite make it up to 70. We're breaking out above the 10 EMA. We're moving up nicely, but we're still not above area highs. I think, you know, where the majority of the prints found rejection, not the high of the day, but the majority of the prints around 72 to 72.5. So that is going to be the key level that I'm looking for. And then above 72.5, I'm looking for that 75. It's technically a 74.98 HOD on FTRK, but this one, we're doing a good amount of volume. We've got the right technical setup, and here comes 70 pennies. Let's see if it crosses. 70 showing up, no continuation, big push down. So now we need to be alive to that 70 seller here that's pooping on everybody's party, right? Because they just showed their hand there as we accelerated into 70. There was a big rejection down into 67. So that's a lot of shares that just took place there. Let's pack the patience. Let's see if we get a rejection, and whether we lose area low, we'll send you to Adair.
Market's bouncing off lows here. I just want to go over some of the comments we had from Fed's Waller because they are coming off a little bit hawkish. Now, as we had on the screen there that Joe mentioned, Waller saying that if we get the inflation coming, or sorry, let's clarify here, if they get another higher inflation print, he'll be treating that as a signal and not noise. So once again, Waller saying if he gets another higher inflation print, that'll be a signal and not noise. Well, he also said, though, if inflation comes down in the next reading, they'll need a couple more prints that way to see that as a signal. So basically, he's seeing higher inflation as 100% a signal. If inflation comes down, he's not quite sure that's going to be enough of a signal yet. So really, he's leaning, I would say at this point, towards potentially a rate hike or holding rate steady, if anything. Doesn't really look like a cut or lower inflation is how Waller sees things right now. Back to you.
Yeah, we
Thank
take a
you very
little.
much.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much for that.
There you go.
Adara,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Do you like the king?
Of course, man.
You do, eh?
Yeah, of course. A very old friend
Oh.
came by today. Yeah, you know that.
Look at that
latest,
shoulder swag.
yeah,
you got
latest flame. Elvis
Latest
Presley. Yeah, check that one out.
Okay.
Great track. Here it is. We
Great.
took a little bit off.
Latest
risk off.
flame?
Yeah, latest flame by
All right,
Elvis Presley.
check it out.
It's a great track for those who know. No. So here it is, right? Like, so we take a little bit off, but man, oh man, there goes the TQQQs heading right back in towards the volume weighted average price. Oh, Gorev, did you see this this inverted print on the NASDAQ 1 minute time frame? If that's broken, then I think we can head into VWAP and climb a little bit higher. But this thing, most definitely lagging. We know about the short interest. So there it is. We'll take a scalp on it. I'm going to get out of dot. Oh, wow. Look at that. As I get out, it just prints a little bit lower. But hey, we'll dock a W on that one.
Okay.
So not too bad of a look there, guys. A nice scalp. Glad I took half of it off. Why? Because it wasn't participating with the strong rally in the NAS. All right. It's now starting to come back in. And I believe if we are going to base out, we can get a much better price than what we were at currently. This is at the top end of the range. We want to wait for the lower end of the range where our risk to reward is at our greatest, but we took half out and we're happy.
All right, Wayne. Just looking here for continuation on V. There we go. There it is through 33. Happy with this trade. Looking for a little bit more, right? Looking for the hold of 32. 33 is elusive here. Looking for a hold of 32, though. There it goes again into 33. Continuation. Good continuation again into 33, but no continuation above 33, mind you. There it is, 30. So 34.59 limit up, and there it goes into 34. We got 32.5s on this one again. There we go, man. Very happy with the trade today on this one. Boom, into the area high. V triple frickin' E. We keep doing it live on this one. But there's others right now, guys. Get ready because VMAR, Bovin, and Casey have been talking about this one for a while. There's a lot going on with VEEE, so I don't want anyone to think my digression here means that the trade is over there. It is absolutely not. It's just I'm done. My shares on that one. VMAR is really making a big move. We don't even have it on the side chart, so it's not updating correctly. Allow me a moment, please. There we go, up 40%, 179 high, ramping into the high side here. 40%. The volume's all anew. This is not recycled volume. Take a look at the bottom right of your screen. The volume bar is now overshadowing any of the volume bars earlier because there was really no comparison. 187 high, dipping back down into 175. Look for a hold at around the $0.75. But there's a lot of strength in small caps today. There hasn't been a let off in the midday, not at all. Whether it was V, FTRK, SOBR, VMAR, even ELPW, that hot garbage, and QTTB as well was doing it well earlier on. But right now, I'm just going to keep my eye on this one. Shout out to my man Zion. Eddie, prediction by you and Joe on Spain versus France tomorrow. Look, man, all my picks were wrong except for England. That's because I voted with like my intentions rather than my rationale, right? I didn't want Argentina to win. I didn't want France to win, obviously, because I don't want to see a recycled kind of Qatar World Cup in North America, right? So obviously, if you're looking at the prediction here, Spain are the underdogs. France are the favorites. So, just rationality tells you France. And then I think that the tougher one to call is going to be England and Argentina. That one is a bit of a wild card. England plays really good at times and then not so good at others.
I think they're hot right now, man. England's hard.
Jude Bellingham's hot at the moment, but Saka looked good as well last game. They were doubling up Saka on almost every time he touched the ball, which is fantastic because that opens up somebody else, right?
For our boy Luis, I hope Espana wins, but I think they're in tough. I think they're in tough against France here.
You know who did it live again for Spain, right? Two games in a row with the winner.
Oh, I haven't watched.
My boy, number 23 on Arsenal, number 6 for Spain, Mikel Merino. Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely dominating.
All right, my guy, that's what we want to see. All right, I know we're getting into the news momentarily. Let's have a little bit of fun here and see what we were up to on the weekend. So I'll show you guys here in just a brief second. For those who are not familiar with the beautiful northern part of Canada, there it is. Here's your boy out on the water. Beautiful stuff, man. Just canoeing. And then we went to, we canoed all the way to the canal, the Rideau Canal up there. So that was big fire. Just another picture. And then here's the boy right here. We can zoom in on old
bicep and the tricep. Shoulder separation going on.
Here, you see the definition. I was more or less, we're focused on the dog here, but if we get into the definition here on the kid looking pretty good.
Joey Options got a sleeper.
This guy over here was having a heyday. First panic mode 101. Jumps in the water a couple of times. Next thing you know, he was loving it. So here it is, Milo enjoying his first boat trip. Yeah, that was a good time, man. Hopping in and out of the water.
I'm happy you took the little guy too, bro.
Yeah, of course, man. Hey, you have the experience to let him live his best dog life. Is that my car? No, car typically has wheels and is driven on land. But anyways, there it is, right? This is why we got out, and this is why parking fob by side. I don't get what that means. Is that like a thing that they say these days? These kids, I don't know what they're up to anymore. But there goes NVDA to the downside. The market heading a little bit lower. There it is. Also, the NASDAQ going to give up that move that we were talking about not too long ago. It's going to get ugly here today. 209, a high of around 210. We're now down 2 to $204. How many percentage points is NVDA down on the day?
Many?
3 1/10%, a little bit more, guys. So 3.12% to the downside. So an absolute ugly look here in the chip names.
Yeah, man. The chip names are getting clipped. There's only one chip name in my entire watch list that's green, and that's PI. And, you know, that's not really saying much. Bless you, Ram. Everything else, decidedly negative. Look at this SS, you know, all the way from up here, all the way to down there. Look at this little guy over here, poor little guy. And he's one of the only negative guys on the year, so you could tell it's like a counter trade. They're down 15% year to date, PI. SMCI and PI are the only two negative microchip names that I have on my semi/microchip watch list. That gives you the idea of the kind of strength that we've had in the semis lately, right? All right, Sia, it is, are we ready to go? All right, sounds good, fantastic. Let's send it Assassino to Sia, and we're gonna start the news segment.
Let's talk PSKY and WBD. So a group of state attorney generals are expected to file a lawsuit that's challenging Paramount Skydance's proposal acquisition of Warner Brothers. So the lawsuit is expected to try to block this merger on antitrust grounds and will also be brought up by a group including California Attorney General Rob Bonta. So this deal would combine Paramount and WBD as well as streaming platforms Paramount Plus and HBO Max. Paramount CEO David Ellison has previously said the streaming services would become one following this transaction. Adara, what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, I think this is interesting. I mean, we know that I have done a lot of research on and talked ad nauseum about these U.S. states, you know, pursuing action against these companies. Now, there are a couple things that make this action particularly interesting. So again, this is a 12-state coalition. It's led by the state of California, but as you guys might have known, I've actually done some research as well to kind of focus on which states sue or involved in actions the most. Connecticut was among them. New York was among them. Both of those states are actually involved in this action as well. Now, the other thing that's interesting here to me that stands out is the presence of the state of Oregon in this lawsuit. Now, we know last week, Oregon basically issued a letter or a request here saying, hey, Paramount Skydance, we want some more details here in terms of, I guess, certain information that was collected. Paramount didn't really respond or work well with them. And then this morning, Oregon said, yeah, we're going to, you know, take back that request. It's obvious they don't want to cooperate with us. And then Oregon responds by joining this now 12-state coalition. So I think Oregon's involvement here is very interesting. And yeah, I mean, interesting here as well to see Rob Bonta leading this coalition. California's, I would say in terms of the grand scale of litigious states so far this year, as you guys know I've studied, they're kind of in the middle, but interesting to see them lead this charge. We're going to have to wait and see what details come of this and how Paramount Skydance and David Ellison respond. I highly doubt they're going to be too fazed by this, though.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It's obviously not the only jurisdiction that's investigating them, but you gotta like this decentralized approach that the Americans are taking, right? They have the federal regulator. It's kind of like a dual area of competency. The states have it, the Fed has it, and it makes sense because a lot of these states that are suing are ones with a massive kind of entertainment workforce that they're looking to protect. So it touches their interests directly. So I do like that. But there's also this concern amongst investors, not just for the antitrust component, but by kind of merging these two, Paramount Plus and HBO Max, into one. They're saying, you know, households looking to consolidate, that could trigger basically a cancellation of one. So technically, you go in there with both and you have the numbers like, okay, well, I got X amount of subscribers on Paramount Plus. I got Y subscribers on HBO Max. You combine them, and that's the number you're reporting to investors and banks and everybody so they can analyze you properly. But then what ends up happening is if you overlap the content, you're likely going to get cancellation of one of those as people look to save money. So that, real headline number may not be the real deal. So that's something to think about as well. But other than that, let's see if the state regulators win out. It's going to be in court now.
Yeah.
And the courts are going to decide.
Yeah, I mean, the Department of Justice already signing off, and multiple other international territories already giving the nod and saying the approval for this. To Sharif's point, some of the other states aren't going to like that. But one thing that I will note is that Paramount wants to get this deal done as soon as possible because September's really starting to creep up. And if this if this deal isn't done by then, they're going to have to be paying shareholders every single day. And I think it's up to about a quarter a day for every day that, a quarter a share, I believe it is, every day that the deal isn't done. And that's going to cost you quite a bit. And we already know that Larry Ellison and company might have already overpaid for this $81 billion deal, right? Netflix stepped out and said it wasn't worth it at that point, and it's going to cost them a pretty penny, especially if it's not done. I think it's early September as well, too, Sharif. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is delayed, and it's going to cost them significantly more. So it's not the greatest look.
All right, let's send it back to say, guys, V is just ripping all sorts of crazy into 36 bucks. Let's just bring it in here. $36, guys. It's all gas, no brakes. VEEE, absolutely him. At the moment, we're up 630%. Guys, look, if you're interested, I'm not saying you trade it, but you need to keep your eye out on VEEE in the aftermarket. It could be one of those ones that really does make one of those huge outsized moves that only the aftermarket and the pre-market environments can allow, right? So be on the lookout here. If you have the time, if you can do it, you got to be looking at VEEE in the aftermarket. It just can get crazy with these ones. I've seen a lot when it comes to that. But let's send it back to Sia and talk a little meta.
Let's talk a little Meta indeed. So Meta's massive Hyperion data center project in rural Louisiana is getting much bigger and costlier. This all comes with a big assist from the state's government. The company has said in a blog post today, the site in Richland Parish, Louisiana, which is home that will be Meta's largest data center, will be a 5 gigawatt facility and cost more than $50 billion. So if you look at it, that's higher than the $27 billion figure that was given to us and revealed in October of last year when Meta and Blue Owl Capital had formed a joint venture to help with the build out and management of the facility that was originally planned to be a 2 gigawatt data center. So Meta is expanding the project because it's seeking to build out enough AI infrastructure to meet demand, as it's saying. So the company has said in today's blog post that the company will pay and does pay full costs of the energy, water, and related infrastructure the data center uses, so consumers aren't paying the costs. And Meta has also said that since the construction of the Louisiana data center that began in December of 2024, local businesses have received more than $1.6 billion in contracts from the company Adera. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, well, first of all, shout out to Louisiana here, home of the very entertaining Senator John Neely Kennedy. But I want to talk a little bit here about how much this is going to cost as well, because Bloomberg, according to their estimates, they think this project could actually cost more than $250 billion. Now, that includes AI chips. So I think with CapEx in mind, this is certainly a story to keep an eye on in terms of the stock reaction. I was actually maybe expecting more of a reaction to this, but again, this is just one report from one source. Either way here, I mean, you did reach that high of 676 before pulling back a little bit here on META. Yeah, I'd keep an eye on this project and the cost of it. Apparently, again, more than 1,000 jobs being supported once it's operational. For the price, I kind of have questions, because then, I mean, just to compare, and obviously this is not a one-to-one comparison in terms of the scale and the types of jobs, but just as some kind of comparison here, last week we had Micron pledging, I believe, $250 billion in U.S. investments, and that's going to be direct and indirect jobs, I think a total of 90,000 across a couple different states. So 250 billion for 90,000 jobs versus like 1,000 jobs. I mean, again, not a one-to-one comparison, so keep that in mind. But I don't know. I think this Meta story, especially given how much Bloomberg thinks it's really going to cost, I don't love it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's talk about the Blue Owl part to this. So Meta has been, like with others, exploring different avenues to raise capital. And so we need to be alive to this deal, which was done in October. So they knew from that time, not now and not in the last 6 months before that, maybe their financiers were getting a little stretched here, and they saw the writing on the wall, and they kind of made the move with Blue Owl. So I do like that. That shows that they understood kind of where this was going. But I also want to point out that a lot has been made about this bring your own power, and a lot of it is interesting on its face, but when you dig into it a bit deeper, it does actually pass off some expenses. So Meta was like, okay, we're bearing the entire cost of the energy, all the water, the related infrastructure, so consumers are not directly taxed. That's their statement and that's their assertion. But when you actually look, at what 5 gigawatts continuously running would mean. It would basically saying that it would tax the entire Entergy grid. I guess that's the name of the grid that this is going to run on in Louisiana. It's going to drive up what they're saying is baseline spot market wholesale power costs, right? So even though locally it's not changing on the grid basis, it is, which is so that, obviously that does have an impact. They're saying as well that they're going to be really boosting the local infrastructure, $1.6 billion in spending, but they're basically tapping out all the concrete, all the metal, all the talent in the area. So apparently that's putting pressure on other businesses. And that's basically it. I mean, I don't really have much to say other than, a lot of them coming out with this bring your own power thing, but I think that we may have to do a little bit more digging into exactly what that means, because I think a lot of people are just using it as a cop-out. Oh, we're bringing our own power, but when you do a bit of a deeper dive, prices do still go up statewide rather than just regionally.
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, over the next 10 years, we know that there's going to be an increase in power, the price of it, that is. So I think that's really important, especially during this AI data center build out. Now, there's a couple of things that we can take away from this is that, okay, congratulations. We know that there's a big push against building these data centers, but there is some light at the end of the tunnel, I believe, here, because if Meta is going to be investing $1 billion in infrastructure, that's going to create local jobs, right? Like building new roads. You have water, including water and wastewater systems that need to be improved and completely constructed, which is extremely important. Wastewater being one of them, because you don't want to taint, obviously, the good, clean ground drinking water. Now, as for Meta, this is a massive build out, all right? 5 gigawatts, Sharif. That's going to increase the cost, unfortunately, even though bring your own power. Who's that going to benefit? Caterpillar, most likely, with the generators, and why this thing has been on an absolute parabolic run. Also the machinery aspect of things. But one thing that you also have to take into consideration is that with this build out, I believe the path, even though they're a little bit late to the dance, the path that Meta is on, I think it can be positive at the end of the day. Why? Because even though it feels like they were late to the dance, what are we talking about? Like, okay, a couple years, but 10, 15 years down the road, they're going to be positioned relatively well. And I think it's going to be great for the stock, but we know there's a big pushback with these data center build-outs. So you have the pros and cons of this scenario, and I think it's going to remain that way for a little bit. But the United States positioning themselves relatively well. I like what Apple or Meta is doing here. And also, I was telling Sharif, we had the conversation on private credit, I believe, last week. And there you go, Blue Apple right at the front of this funding here.
Blue Apple.
Blue Apple.
I like
Owl.
that.
Yeah, Blue
I like
Owl
that.
right
Blue
at
Apple, baby.
at the front of this funding round for META. Send it over to the desk.
Bit of a relative volume increase here for Biogen, BIIB. Now, be aware, not a ton of volume on this overall. Throughout the day, it's about 600,000 shares traded on the day, but hitting new intraday highs as the FDA approves the first at-home starting dose for Alzheimer's disease treatment. So I guess that's a good look here for BIIB. I know as well they're supposed to be at an Alzheimer's conference throughout the week. So again, nice look for Biogen.
Let's take a look at our next story. So Apple suing OpenAI for alleged trade theft. So said late on Friday that it's suing OpenAI in federal court in California, alleging trade secret theft, saying that OpenAI has taken Apple's intellectual property in order to develop its own consumer hardware, Adara. So the company said in a legal filing, which I will read out right now, that this much is clear, however, at every level, from members of its technical staff to its chief hardware officer and coordination with its business partners, OpenAI has been stealing Apple's trade secrets and confidential information.
Yeah, so I read through some of this filing. There are a couple things that I want to note and point out that I think are pretty interesting. So for one, OpenAI is not the only defendant. There are other defendants that are related to OpenAI and also related to Apple that we should talk about. So one of them is Chang Tan, the other is Chang Liu. So they're both former Apple employees who are now, I guess, working at OpenAI. One of them has been accused of basically telling people who are interviewing at OpenAI who came from Apple to bring things from Apple with them to the interview. And then the other was actually accused of stealing a laptop from Apple. So again, allegations that certainly maybe suggest individual wrongdoing, but I think that you'd have a be kind of hard-pressed to argue that they suggest overall wrongdoing of the company unless OpenAI is explicitly telling these people to behave in this way. So I would certainly like more details from Apple as to, I think, the breadth of the allegations. Now, the IO Products being a defendant here is also interesting. Now, IO Products is, they changed the name a couple times, but it's the most recent name of that new Johnny Ive design company. Again, Johnny Ive, former Apple designer. His company was then acquired or bought out here by Sam Altman and OpenAI. So again, you've got another case of former Apple employee being kind of lumped into this lawsuit. Again, unless they, I think, definitively prove that we have, Johnny Ive actually stealing or copying Apple technology and hardware or design elements for these new products he's going to be working on with OpenAI, I think it's going to be a bit of a tough case. Now, the other thing that I found interesting, and again, this is, I'm curious as to Sharif's thought on this, but what I saw in the court filing is apparently Apple is requesting, or I think they actually said demanding, a jury trial. Now, what I know, at least I think is the general, again, I did criminology here in undergrad. My understanding, at least partially, is if you're, again, this is more if you're a defendant than if you're actually causing a lawsuit. But my understanding is generally if you're a defendant and you choose, a jury trial or bench trial is generally like, hey, if you think, you don't necessarily want to have to play to the jury's emotions or heartstring too much. You actually just, kind of want a look at the facts. That's at least my understanding anyway. Maybe you'll pick, a bench trial. Jury trial, I think, is, again, my understanding is I think it's the neutral one, but the fact they're actually requesting one is pretty interesting to me as well. So I think I found that in the filing right away on page 1. An interesting look. So again, just a little bit more of a deep dive into some of the allegations, some of the defendants here for this Apple OpenAI lawsuit. I'll be following this closely.
Yeah, you're right about that, Adara. But in this case, it's not specifically through the emotion. It's because the sitting judge is a former trade secrets and basically has understanding in this specific area. So they want the decision to be made more with a legal and a technical mind frame rather than having to explain everything anew to the jury. I think that poses a bit of an advantage when it comes to complicated subject matter like we are with Apple. But Adara, there was actually a request from an individual interviewing from OpenAI these Apple employees, and he was telling them to bring stuff with him. So there was active solicitation here. Active solicitation shows bad intention, okay? Because then it's not like, oh, we stumbled into this technology accidentally. So that shows malicious intent to me. But in any event, I've got my bias goggles on. I'm an Apple investor. But I think that there is a bigger issue at play here. And it's the status of non-compete agreements in the state of California. They are unenforceable. And because they're unenforceable, because that's the position that the state has chosen to take to protect certain employees, it's opened this kind of nonsense up, where a person who works in very secretive and very technical areas in a company like as important as Apple can mosey on over to a competitor, and there's not a thing Apple can do to stop him. And I think that poses a bit of a technical challenge for these companies who want to innovate and grow in California. So I put this to you guys. Is this another reason companies should be exiting California, tech companies where IP is super important, and heading to states like Texas, which they're doing anyway, going to Austin? So this is yet another disadvantage, sort of regulatory environment disadvantage, I think, for tech companies to stay in California, because I don't like this at all. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see. As Adara mentioned, this is all factually based, and whether or not these things are factual will come out in discovery. If anybody's watched tech litigation before, discovery brings out everything because everything is tested. So I can't wait for the details for this one to come out. SOBR halted, 137 upside. What a move up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that I believe are important here. Now, Sam Altman stating that he has no interest in other companies' trade secrets, or OpenAI stating that. But what really raises my eyebrows and I want to question is, what does this mean for the partnership between the two companies? Now, what am I getting at? We know that OpenAI, ChatGPT, is one of the fastest growing apps of all time. But I think that definitely helped due to the fact that a couple of years ago, they signed an agreement with Apple for it to be integrated into iOS, iPhone operating systems. Now, once that contract comes to an end, what does this mean for the two companies? Does Sam Altman's ChatGPT have the same success if it's not integrated into the Apple ecosystem? I think that's a massive question. And if I'm Sam, part of his growth has been involved with Apple and just having easy access And if he hinders that and destroys it, then you might have a little bit of trouble in the near future.
I want your opinion. We saw the breakup of the relationship start, I would say, about a month and a half ago, when OpenAI sued Apple, or said, rumored to be suing, I don't know if they actually did it, rumored to be suing Apple, saying that they did not get as much out of this commercial contract as had been stipulated in the agreement. So can one possibly infer that the breakup of the relationship started around then? Perhaps Apple, or OpenAI detecting that Apple had detected them doing this whole thing and kind of wanted to get the jump up.
I think that's totally fair to say, because look at Sam Altman's relationship with Microsoft starting to crumble as well too.
It is, man. I think everybody's relationship with this dude crumbles.
So I'm not saying that this is necessarily the beginning, but it's just piling up as his fallouts with individuals in these major companies continues to grow. I think it's just another piece of the puzzle that is starting to be complete right now with Sam Altman and some of his fishy activities.
Yeah,
but it definitely started with what you just brought up.
And
but this isn't.
We were caught by surprise on that, were we not? Like,
absolutely.
It was like, what? There's beef between Apple and OpenAI?
And that was following the fact that I believe it was it was just under 1 billion monthly active users or something. ChatGPT was one of the milestones, which it fell short. And then shortly after is when Sam Altman and company state, hey, we're not getting what we were looking for out of this specifically. But what he's doing is he's just stockpiling all of these little bad things that aren't working out very well for him with his relationship with Microsoft, and now growing concerns with Apple. So what is going to happen when their agreement that they have to step out of the iPhone operating system, and you're not going to be one of the primary LLM features in there.
Bro, and on top of this, we've already been talking about companies trying to hide their information from LLMs because these LLM companies, these OpenAI frontier models, become their competitors 3-4 months later.
Yeah.
Right? So now you've got systems in place where certain data makes it onto the cloud, and then certain data doesn't leave because they can't trust these companies. Yeah. Altman is kind of leading that charge. Well, to be fair, Anthropic as well. They all of a sudden, they're your competitor as well.
And to your point, that's Alex Karp's argument. Alex Karp, why he doesn't like those guys. It's because
they're competitors to you immediately, right?
Exactly.
All right, I think we beat up this story. But anyway, a lot to talk about here, as you can tell, guys. Super important, but Apple making a big move today, giving it basically all back, up 1/3%. Let's go back to see you.
That was very interesting to hear, and I'm also interested to see how that pans out. Let's take a look at oil right now. So oil prices, we do know it have jumped today, continuing to push to the upside. U.S. was having a big uptick at the moment. It's up very close to 7% on the day. So jumping today after U.S. President Donald Trump has said that the United States would reimpose a naval blockade against Iran. And as Tehran and Washington are battling to control the Strait of Hormuz. So Brent has shot up almost 6.84%, very close to 7% again, to $80.07 a barrel. WTI is up almost 7% higher at $75.08 a barrel. So Trump has said in a post on Truth Social as well that we are reinstating the Iranian blockade, in all caps, so named because it is only stopping Iran ships or customers from entering or leaving all countries who will have fair and open use of the Strait. The president has also said that the U.S. will protect traffic in Hormuz, but has also demanded a reimbursement that is a toll that is equivalent to 20% of all cargo shipped that passes through the Strait of Hormuz. So the decision to reimpose the blockade comes after, again, the U.S. and Iran had exchanged strikes over the weekend. So the U.S. military had also launched another wave of strikes on Sunday against Iran, as well as when Iran had hit 140 targets on Saturday, so it was as a retaliation, according to the U.S. Central Command. And with that, currently, USO is up, surpassing the 7% mark.
Yeah, it's up big today, Sia. President Trump wants 20%. The administration will demand a staggering 20% reimbursement fee on all cargo shipped through the corridor. So it transforms the Navy into a profit-generating global protection utility. Not something I think the Navy had been known for prior to that, but who knows? I remember you guys had a naval blockade of Cuba. Remember during what's it called? the Cuban Missile Crisis. What was it called? The quarantine or whatever. So C is talking about the naval blockade being back on. So the naval blockade is essentially blocking the shadow fleet, because that's like all the Iranian oil containers are part of the shadow fleet that they don't show their global transponder position, etc. We've been talking a lot about that. What else, man? 140 targets hit on Saturday by CENTCOM. I don't know how many were hit yesterday and today. I keep seeing more things coming in on the wire here regarding CENTCOM updating. But yeah, this is probably going to push global prices back up. I guess my question to you is, do we stay kind of in this perpetual state of peace and then conflict, peace and conflict for a while, and then, maybe somewhere down the line a more comprehensive agreement comes in?
I think so. I think that's going to be the narrative. Like, think about how we thought that the Ukraine-Russian war was going to be over in the span of a couple of months. We're now 4 years later.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
it's just, these conflicts, they're not resolved quick, man.
No.
They take it, and it's a lot of back and forth. You see what your boy did?
Which one?
Carney and Trump on the Gordie Howe Bridge.
Okay, they cut a deal there.
The States did, they got a deal. They got another deal, man. This guy, as frustrating as it may be, he got the deal. He got a deal that favors. I think the United States.
We paid for the entire bridge.
We paid for the entire bridge. All right. So now we don't.
And the U.S. taking 50%.
No, we don't. No, we don't know who's in control.
It's not 50. I thought it was 50.
We get 50%, but 50% goes into an economic trust fund. But we don't know who has control of this 50% fund, and that's 15 years. So somehow the
15 years. Okay.
So for 15 years, we don't know who's controlling the other 50%. But yeah, somehow Donald Trump, something that we completely paid for. What was it, like $4 billion or something?
I have no idea.
Something
it
to
helps
build this
us
bridge.
though, but then we had it because we did so much trade with them. We have to really think that is the volume going to be there with the new Kuzma. Hey, bro, when the media here was up in arms about the 9% of trade that was covered by the new tariffs that he put in, to me, it was such a misnomer. The big one was going to be Kuzma, the NAFTA agreement, 90% of trade. We are in trouble unless we get a good deal on this NAFTA, this upcoming, whatever you want to call it,
I agree.
the new NAFTA.
Doesn't matter.
So it was always such a cop-out. It was like,
Did you see your boy Dougie as well, too, talking to the governor of California?
Yeah, because Newsom is complaining.
Yeah, about the wine, man.
Schiff and Newsom complaining about the wine hurting their winemakers. And Big Dougie's like, we'll put it back if we're the...
It was like, no, he's like, we'll go talk to your boy in the Oval Office.
Exactly.
So, there it goes, man.
No, but it's hurting a lot of them. U.S.
Big time.
So California... wine sales to Canada is down 70%, 70-something%.
Well, you're not putting any on the shelves in Ontario, so.
And that's having the direct effect of boosting all the local wineries. So you wonder if this is going to be a policy they backtrack on.
Right? They take a long time to get sorted out. Because you've seen a couple of the Ontario wineries and the VQA Association, Vineyards Quality Alliance, actually expanding their vineyards.
Of course, there's no American wines coming in. They got to fill the gap, right? Yeah, exactly. All right, we were completely off topic here, but that was still important talk.
Exactly.
Let's talk about one of the very important companies, especially from last week, Sia.
SKHY down 6.4% on the day, tumbling more than 15% in Seoul today, over 6% on the NASDAQ. So SKHY jumped, as we do know it, over 13% on its Wall Street debut on Friday, so which reflected a rather strong appetite in and from U.S. investors for all these AI-linked semiconductor stocks as well. So the decline today reflects a rather mixed sentiment of profit-taking and uncertainty over how SK Hynix's U.S.-listed share should be valued in regards and relative to Korean stocks. So some analysts are saying that the ADR debut has effectively created a new benchmark for investors to assess this company's valuation overall. And Daniel Yu, who is a global strategist at Yuanta Securities, has said that everybody is really confused about what's going to happen in the memory demand and where the fair price is currently. SKHY is sliding towards the downside, 6.5% on the day.
Yeah. We talked about this, right? We talked about how institutional desks didn't know how to price the ADR correctly because of that, out of left field Korean regulation that says you couldn't trade back your Korean common shares for American depository receipts. You could do it one way, but you couldn't do it the other. That effectively wiped out the arbitrage opportunity, and that changes the valuation. So that's partly, I think, why we're selling off, because the institutional investors don't add a value. But as Daniel, you said, and as Sia mentioned, part of this sell-off is not just structurally because of ADR or the American depository receipt, but it's because we remain in this perpetual state of concern about the nature of memory going forward, because historically it has been cyclical. There's been a supply glut and then a supply shortage, and that has defined memory, I think, going back to the dot-com bubble. So, I guess old habits die hard here, and people still can't see, into that 2030 demand remaining the same, because historically it hasn't been that way. But everybody else is telling us that it will remain very strong, at least until the end of the decade. So I think that you're going to continue to see large corrections in these memory names, not only because they run up so aggressively, but because old habits die hard. People continue to look at memory as that cyclical business that existed. I don't know if it is anymore, though, bro.
Well, I mean, for the next couple of years, right? At least, in my opinion, but at some point, supply will catch up with demand. Are you going to see like a complete breakdown of the space? Heck no, I don't think that's going to be necessarily.
But I made one point too last week. You and I were talking about this. I was like, I always worry about a technical advancement that allows us to use less memory and do more with it. And you know what somebody wrote out in the chat, which was very astute? They'll just buy more, so you'll have more compute.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're not going to just stop. It's like you couldn't get to this level compute because you were supply constrained, but now you can get there. And so I think that there's the appetite.
You're not going to be like, oh, I have enough. That's it.
We're just going to get more and get more compute, right?
But at some point, like, you have to take into consideration that we are slightly overextended, and you will start to see more of a convergence between the two of supply and demand. Not saying it's maybe not from a one-to-one risk to reward ratio where things are really met, but at some point supply will meet up with demand. But I'm not saying it's going to anytime soon. All right. Now, this is going to be the second biggest share sale ever recorded, raising $26.5 billion. It's huge. Okay, so it's the second largest ever. Now, what I was talking about before is just the amount of retail individuals involved with this in the Kospi, the South Korean populace really getting involved in the retail side of things. And I think that could be a little bit dangerous. If I'm over there in South Korea, the last thing that I personally want to see, because I'm not going to say it's the beginning of the end, that's not necessarily the case, but you're going to see a sentiment shift. You don't want to see that type of dilution in something that's been free roaming for the past year and a half.
Oh, look at this, bro.
What's happening?
France is selling the Rafale to Ukraine. Oh, boy. Here we go. 28, 29. They're going to have it, apparently, in Ukrainian skies. Now, you know that the Americans did, I think, give the F-16 to Ukraine, but they gave it to them with very specific use cases that they can and can't use it. Like, I don't think it can go in deep into Russian airspace or anything like that. But, yeah, France's Macron, Ukraine to buy 16 Rafale fighters. It doesn't say which one to be flying in 28 to 29. He's also going to give them air defense system, the SAMP-T air defense system. Not that I know anything about that. Is that a French air defense system? Let's find out. I want to know. I want to know.
But yeah, anyway, so let me finish up here. So yeah, what we got going on here is, listen, from a retail investor, I mean, in the longer term, it isn't horrible, but when you have such a large share dilution, sold 177 million shares in ADRs, it might take a little bit longer than what we're expecting, and you can see them getting hit pretty heavy. So today, that is. So I mean, I wouldn't be too enthused if I was the South Korean average investor or retailer.
No, look at this is what they're selling them, Joey. This is the bad boy right here. Surface-to-air missile systems. These SAM sites. This is, like, this is for airplanes, though, man. We need something new for drones, right? Something doesn't cost $100,000 to $1 million a pop to fire, and that's what your Andrills and all these other companies. That's why you invest in those guys, because I feel this is a thing of the past over here. These mobile SAM sites, man. We're gonna need like active reconnaissance drones to detect drone swarms, take them out autonomously. I think that's where we go here, bro. This is archaic.
That's trench warfare, man.
Yeah. All right, see, are we going on? Or yeah, all right.
This is our final story we are talking about, just recapping, but also taking a look at how U.S. President Donald Trump has reinstated the Iranian blockade, but he has also said today that he'll impose fees in the Strait of Hormuz at the rate of 20% on all the cargo shipped. I did mention this before, but just a quick recap over what's going on. And after declaring America the guardian, quote unquote, of the Strait of Hormuz. So the U.S. has rejected Iran's claims over the strait and its plans to charge ships passing through it as before. So oil prices, we do know it, have jumped, continue to jump. Also, stock indexes are also continuing to slide following this announcement. And Trump has written in the same post that the strait is, in all caps, bold open and will remain in all caps open with or without Iran.
Look, Sia, he was trying with that shipping channel near the strait or the side of the Omani coast, right? And then we saw the Iranians attack the ships there, which caused, of course, the U.S. to retaliate, and that's how this whole thing started. I just want to see, I got to tell you the truth. I was quite surprised by this. I was, when it used to be Brendo and I at the big desk before this whole thing happened with Iran, I said one thing before the whole conflict started. President Trump must be speaking to his military planners so that they have a plan to make sure the strait remains open, because I can't foresee, eventuality where President Trump doesn't allow oil to flow. And that's exactly what happened. And now we're in a month, I don't know what, of the conflict. And still, there is no U.S. naval dominance in a way in the strait, which shows, unobstructed passing. We are still dealing with this issue. And I got to say, I'm quite surprised by this. I figured that the U.S. would have had this under control, and it doesn't seem like they can. I got to tell you the truth.
What's that?
We're
say that again.
multiple months into the conflict now. I don't think that they can control the strait in a way without committing more military resources and without taking more casualties. I'm just going to say it. They would have done it already.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's going to be the narrative. There's not much more I can say, but I 100% agree with you, Sharif. If you really want to be the guardian, you know what that's going to cost. Hey, he can just fund that the passage, and he can fund other cargo ships going through, oil tankers going through, with the 20% he's going to be collecting from these countries. So, I mean, listen, hey man, I'm not going to say, I don't think biting off more than you can chew is the right term, but if it started, you got to find a way to end it, and it's definitely hasn't gone to plan for Mr. Donald Trump and company.
No, and a lot of great comments from you guys coming in, man. Like, don't doubt the U.S., right? They're always somehow successful militarily. Ozan saying, what leverage does USA have over Iran except massive bombing of the whole country, literally? I mean, they were trying to choke them economically, right? And we saw the Iranians able to weather that some way, somehow, right? With the whole blockade, which I believe lasted for months. A lot of you, great comments there. Like, obviously how this cookie ends up crumbling. And then somebody joking around, we'll get Canada to do it. I was like, all right, bro, all right. You don't have to dunk on us. I'm just making an observation.
No, you're doing, right? Canada will do it for 19.9%, so you get 0.1% basis point less.
Let's not go down that road, Joe. Let's not go down that road.
It wouldn't be the best offense, but hey, it's cheaper.
There is news at the desk, so we're sending it to Adara.
Speaking of oil, we are getting some comments right now here from the Joint Maritime Information Center, which is led by the U.S. Navy. They're saying here that the U.S. blockade will apply to all vessel traffic, regardless of the flag. Apparently, they're going to start enforcing this naval blockade of all Iranian ports and Iranian coastal areas starting tomorrow, so July 14th. If I get any more details here, I will let you know. That'll be at 8 p.m. here GMT. On July 14th is when they're going to start enforcing this. It's also worth noting here, President Trump was set to begin speaking at 1:30 p.m. He's going to participate at a, quote, Freedom 250 Grand Prix showcase. So potentially we could get some more comments, I guess, related to Iran. We know that sometimes he can get off topic during these events. The stream just went live. President Trump yet to be seen. I'll keep you guys posted.
Thank you very much for that, Adara. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens over there. But, yeah. It's a prickly one, Joey.
It is, man.
It's a prickly one, brother.
No question about that.
I got to tell you, I just didn't anticipate. There goes. I don't know why my position is not showing us, but we're involved here. You're restarting. No problem. We're taking prints, though. Limit up. 152 on Sober, showing 150 seller. I'm in at 138. We're doing it. We're doing it live. We're looking for a little bit more. Let's look for 53, but that seller. 51, they took him out, Joey. Into 51 we go with no continuation, though. I'm waiting at 53s next. Look for the flush. here, a loss of 40 ends the trade for me. Buyer at 44 on SOBR. Big buyer here at 44. Can he hold? More size coming in onto the gateways there. Let's see if it holds. Look at this epic battle between the 44 buyer and the 45 seller here. Nobody's moving. Back into 47 we go. Can we get a decisive move up, though? We'll have to wait and see. But anything below the 40 print ends the trade for me, but we're looking for a little bit more. Next profit taker 53.
Man, NVIDIA again hit the heaviest, one of the heaviest here, man, down 3.4%. We'll head over to our watch list, guys, and see what we got going on. So whatever happened on Friday, evaporation. I mean, still inside, but still inside day, guys. I told us, watch out for this potential bull trap. Where have we seen this before? I'll show you. SPCX. I haven't looked at that in a little bit. 137. We're still short.
What are you
SpaceX.
short? Oh, SpaceX? Okay.
141. Short the
short
the market.
Qs.
I seen you was short 141 there or something along those lines. No, SpaceX.
Bro.
Sharif, you
right,
did it last
bro.
week. I did it this week. Get it right.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Then you skew the dollar amount, my boy.
Yeah, we can't skew that. Anyways, aside from that, man, nice work there, Mr. Katina, man. Breakdown here. Listen, I don't think we're just going to stop. This is some momentum to the downside. I don't think we're just going to magically stop at 135. This is my opinion, subjective. I think we had a little bit lower than that. Price does take a little bit to turn around. But we also looked at the options chain, guys, that could potentially indicate that we will stop right at 135 and then potentially curl over. Look at the open interest, 24,000 contracts right there. But if this gets, as Sharif would say, decimated and blown out, watch out. There's going to be a lot of room to move southbound there, Sharif. $130, 9,000 contracts there. And $100, 20,000 contracts, $100 on SpaceX. I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't blow me out of the water, that's for sure, to see those numbers.
There goes SOBR into the high of the day, 57s. We got 38s. We're looking for 59s. Big seller at 57. Can't shake him. Into 55 we go, but sober. It's alive again, man. It slept it off. Okay, let's go. Let's see what we can do here with 60s, liking the look of sober. But hey, I want to shout out Don Becca. Great comment from you, brother. I want to shout you out. Sharif, the American military can definitely do it. You are missing the bigger picture. This conflict dragging on is simultaneously meant to keep the Chinese bottled up. No oil, Taiwan threat. Well put there, you astute SOBU. That was actually well put. And we've been talking a lot about how the Chinese and Asia in general do rely more on Middle Eastern oil than the West does. We know how the Western dynamics are. Venezuela, Canada, obviously America with their own production, most in the world. So I do see your point there, and thank you for pointing that out, because we definitely should have given that more airtime. I think, obviously, this does hurt the Chinese. I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I did read on the weekend that the Chinese told Putin, don't think about using any battlefield nukes, because he was thinking, apparently, if you believe the reports, and I'm not vouching for the veracity of the report, I'm saying I read it, that Putin was considering using battlefield nuclear weapons, which are low-yielding nuclear weapons, low yields, so they don't have like destructive capacity like an entire city, low-yielding on the battlefield to kind of counter this threat that Ukraine has had lately with drones, because there's a gas shortage right now in Russia, man. The Ukrainians have been quite successable in their latest drone attacks. Tactical nukes, yes, Fedora.
I think that would. I mean, at this stage in the war, I know we talk about a potential deal being made this close. I don't know if that's going to be ideal. Not something that you want to do.
Yeah, the market is tanking, Nick. You're absolutely right. Let's bring it in. We got like another 10 seconds. The Katina Man's short. Get it, Katina Man. Everything's negative, Katina Man. The Dow is negative, down a third. The Q is getting absolutely clipped. They are at the low of the day or thereabouts, down 1.81. The SPY losing as well, down 3/4 in the IWM. Russell 2000 ETF also down into 0.96, but faring the best is the Dow. It's been positive and then negative on the day throughout, so keep your eye out on that. The markets are all bleeding their own blood, and you can see simultaneously, of course, that USO is at the high of the day, 170.1788, as oil moves up and the market down on the back of renewed tensions in the Middle East, sadly. Joey and I will see you guys, same bat time channel. Big boys are that way.